In other baseball news today, the Angels are hiring Kurt Suzuki as their manager, sources told ESPN today. Suzuki, who's 42, spent 16 years playing for 5 franchises and won the 2019 World Series with the Nationals. He has spent the last 3 years as a special assistant to the Angels general manager. The NBA tips off tonight with a doubleheader at 4:30. The Rockets take on the defending champion Thunder, and then the Warriors take on Luka and the Lakers. You can hear pregame coverage for the Laker game right here beginning at 6:45 on your home for Lakers basketball in San Diego Sports 760. Hurry, Mattress Firm's Upgrade Your Sleep sale ends soon. See their sleep experts today to find your perfect bed from their premium selection and save big on better rest. Mattress Firm, they make sleep easy.
Questions abound for the Padres.
Pujols is the new manager, and who makes the hire?
What do you think?
The Aztecs head out to Fresno this weekend. Is Aztec Fast finally taking hold with the Scarlet and Black? The NBA season tips off tonight with Lakers versus Warriors right here on San Diego Sports 760. Plus, we have a World Series matchup. Do they sell poutine at Dodger Stadium? Fries, cheese, and gravy. How can you go wrong?
Yummy!
We talk about it all from the San Diego Sports 760 studios with Jon and Jim.
Jon and Jim on a Tuesday. Good show lined up for you today. Alan Sliwa going to join me at the bottom of the hour. Lakers basketball tonight. The NBA tips off tonight. Lakers Warriors. Rockets Thunder. New prime NBA. We have NBA and NBC. So the NBA gets started tonight. The World Series is all set. I still can't talk. And as you might be wondering why I'm opening the show instead of Jon, Jon mentioned yesterday that he was not going to be here today. And I wasn't going to say anything because Jon wasn't, it's up to Jon, right? But he did post something last night on his Instagram page. So I just wanted to just briefly say, if anybody's wondering, his Instagram page has the reason why he's not here today. And just everybody just thoughts and prayers out to his wife. She's going through something right now. She had surgery today. She everything's going to be okay with her, but yeah, Jon is at home today with his wife. He'll be back tomorrow. And so just best wishes, thoughts and prayers to his wife. We love them. And so we'll see Jon tomorrow afternoon. But as far as today goes, like I said, good show. We have a World Series set. We have the NBA back tonight, a doubleheader last night for Monday Night Football. Lot to talk about. Oh, and by the way, the Padres are still looking for a new manager. So lot happening today in the world of sports, but we start with the Padres, and 2 new names have come up for the Padres managerial position. We already know one name, it's Albert Pujols. Okay. We talked about it yesterday. Like, to me, he's the guy. I don't want to overthink this. I don't want to, be like, oh, this thing outside the box here. Like, if Albert Pujols wants the job, and if you two align, by you two I mean, AJ Preller, the Padres, and Albert Pujols. If everything aligns and there's no like demands that Albert Pujols is making that are outrageous, then I'm going with Albert Pujols. But there are 2 names that have come up today, one of which is extremely interesting, the other of which, to me, kind of bland and boring and just would be blah. So the first name on the list, you all know him because he was a bench coach here for the last couple years. Brian Esposito. No experience. Okay, just the bench coach for the Padres the last couple years. Been inside the organization. Had some time in the minor leagues, right? But for me, blah. And then the other name on the list Carlos Hernandez. You might be thinking to yourself, that name sounds oddly familiar. Yeah, that Carlos Hernandez. The Carlos Hernandez that was on the 1998 Padres World Series team that went to the World Series. The Carlos Hernandez that's on this Spanish broadcast team for the Padres currently. Let's just hire broadcasters now. Screw it. So those are the two names. Brian Esposito, that was reported by The Athletic. And then Carlos Hernandez was reported by The Athletic. Brian Esposito was reported this morning by MLB Trade Rumors. And those are two names that have popped up. Brian Esposito has interviewed for the job. Carlos Hernandez has not, but he has expressed interest in wanting to be the manager. Just hire Ted Leitner. Hire Jesse Agler.
Can Don and Mud interview as like a pair, like stepbrothers?
Yeah. hire Don Orsillo. Hire Mud. That's fine. I don't know about those two names, guys. I really don't. You know, those to me are definitely, at least the Carlos Hernandez one feels like an outside the box name because he's got literally no experience. He's got a little back in the early to late 2000s. But as far as becoming a manager, I don't know about that one. Like, yeah, just if we're going down the Carlos Hernandez route, just hire any former Padre. See in the chat, hire Khalil Green. I think it's his birthday today. Hire, I don't know. Hire any former Padres player. Screw it. I think that when it comes down to it, whoever's hiring this manager, I want them to go through a thorough process. And this is definitely a thorough process. But I just hope that it all leads back to the guy that I'm rooting for to be the next Padres manager, and that's Albert Pujols. Why? I've said why I want Albert Pujols to be the manager. I think that you look at all the candidates that potentially could be the manager of this team, and none of them really stick out. None of them stick out to me. Now, yes, Albert Pujols obviously is a name. I get it. And he's got 700 plus home runs. He's going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. But if you're looking for a guy that, you know, would really demand the respect, and I think, you know, Albert Pujols, if he wants to do this, and he's already, you know, slated to be a Dominican manager for the World Baseball Classic. He's managed in winter ball in the Dominican League. Look, you're going to have growing pains with whoever you hire as a first-time manager. There's no doubt about it. Whoever they hire, if it's a first-time manager, you're going to have growing pains. You just are. And if Albert Pujols is willing to learn and adapt, then I think Albert Pujols is the guy. Brian Esposito, hey, that's who's on our bench we could hire to be the next manager. I mean, I like Ruben Niebla a lot. I do. He's probably my second choice if it's not Albert Pujols to become the manager of this team, just because losing Ruben Niebla would be a big blow. But at the same time, you know, you're not getting any new voices in here. It's the same voice. So bringing in somebody new, I think that would do this team good, because the last, you know, time they hired a manager was Mike Schilt, and he was inside the organization. Now it worked out, but did it really work out? Like, I had that conversation with Jon yesterday. Did it really work out with Mike Schilt? Yeah, they won 93 games, then 90 games the following season. But he quit. And they went backwards in the postseason. They didn't go forward. So did it really work out with Mike Schilt? I could argue it actually didn't. because the goal of the goal here is to win a World Series, and to have things work out means you won a World Series, or at least hell, you got to a World Series.
It kind of looks like the trend that's emerging, at least for like the names that have, allegedly leaked for candidates, is that the Padres are going to go in the direction of little to no experience, and they're just going to go with the growing pains and just go that direction, opposed to hiring somebody that does have experience, because all the names are getting thrown out there have pretty much no experience. You're lucky if some of the ones out there have major league playing experience, and that's about all you're gonna get. So if you're gonna go with the no experience route, might as well go big or go home, and just go with Pujols and go with a bigger name.
Yes.
Unless he's gonna cost that much more than some other guy.
Another name that I see in the chat right here, Phil Nevin. That's a name that was thrown out very early in this process when Mike Schill quit last week. And he's a former manager in the big leagues. Not much success with the Angels, but still, nonetheless, he at least has big league experience. And he would not let that clubhouse, take over, because he's a red ass. And Phil Nevin. You want fire for your manager? You want a manager with some fire? Yeah, Phil Nevin's your guy. But his name hasn't really been brought up much lately. So I think going forward, you're probably right, Brent. It just kind of feels like whoever they hire is going to be a first-time guy. Just read the room. Ruben Niebla would be a first-time manager. Brian Esposito, first-time manager. Carlos Hernandez, first-time manager. Albert Pujols, first-time manager. Looks like they're probably going to go that route. I'm not opposed to it. I don't think it's like the worst thing in the world. But whoever they get, can this guy please last for more than 2 years? Can whoever they hire please be here for a substantial amount of time and not just dip after 2 years, or there's problems after year one, or we get more pieces about organizational dysfunction after year number 2? Can that happen? Can things be normal around here for once? Can we get a normal Padres offseason one time? I can't remember when we had just a normal Padres offseason, Brent. Like, I really can't remember. Trying to think, and by normal, I mean just like business as usual, and no drama. Now, there's been off seasons where there's no drama, but there's a lot of movement. But it's been a while. It's been a while since I can remember like a normal Padres offseason. Maybe after the 2022 season, because everything was kumbaya. I mean, there were still like some cracks in the organization, but we didn't know about that till year number 2. So, look, if they're going to hire a first-time manager here, because they're interviewing guys, and there's guys that are on the radar that don't have any managing experience. If they're going to go that route, they better be right. And I feel like a broken record, because we say it every time. Like, this better be the right guy. This better be the right guy. And this isn't to like transition here. This is like, you hire somebody, go out and win a World Series like next year. Because that is what that manager is going to be tasked to do. Go out and win a World Series right now. Because that's the goal that this team has. That's the goal this team has set, is to go out and win a World Series right now. All right, Alan Sliwa, he's going to join me at the bottom of the hour. The NBA season gets underway tonight. But coming up next, the World Series is set, and we had an epic, and I mean epic, Game 7 last night. We'll talk about that. It's all coming up next on Jon and Jim on San Diego Sports 760 and live on the iHeartRadio app. All right, listen for your chance to win a 4-pack of tickets to Hallow Scream at SeaWorld San Diego this year. New horrors awaken with 5 haunted houses, 8 terrifying scare zones, hidden speakeasies, and the shrills of coasters after dark every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday now through November 2nd. Halloween fun for the whole family. For a limited time, kids go free with paid adult ticket. Visit SeaWorldSanDiego.com for more information. So the World Series is set. Game 1 will be on Friday night in Toronto, Blue Jays and the Dodgers. We all know how this series is going to end up, guys. We all know. Dodgers in 5, unfortunately. But last night, Game 7, and I was rooting for the Mariners. I know the Blue Jays haven't been to a World Series in 30 plus years. Last time was 1993. That was the famous Joe Carter moment. But there's something about a team that's never been somewhere that I just root for. And, you know, when the Mariners are the only team that has not been to a World Series in baseball, it's like, can we just get this and that? Can they get to the World Series? Like the fans just, oh my gosh, the fans were, every time something good happened, they were crying. It was incredible. When you watched a Mariners postseason game at their home ballpark, every other half inning, you saw a Mariners fan that was crying because they've been waiting so long for this moment. 49 years. They've never been to a World Series. Never. And last night, it was the closest that they've ever gotten. 8 outs away. 8 outs away from reaching their first World Series in franchise history. And I don't know about you, Brent, but if my team lost the way that the Mariners lost last night, and if my team had the history of the Mariners, that one's going to be with me for a long time. Like I eventually would recover, but it would take me a long time. I mean, potentially like weeks. Maybe even a month plus.
I can speak as a Cubs fan that what they're probably feeling is they were probably all expecting it to happen.
Probably.
Because even after the Cubs recorded the final out and won the World Series and the game was over,
you didn't believe it.
I was sitting there in my living room in shock, waiting for ref or an ump to come over and be like, "Oh no, wait, his foot wasn't on first. We got to keep playing the game." I kept waiting for something to happen to be like, "Oh no, this isn't going to happen." So I imagine the Mariners fans were just sitting there, just waiting for something to happen and just hoping that nothing happened. And then when it happened, they're just like, of course.
It's just the most gut-wrenching way. Now, it wasn't a walk-off 3-run homer, right? It's like not. It wasn't like there was 2 outs in the bottom of the 9th inning. You're up 3-1 with 2 on, and Springer hits a game-winning 3-run homer. But in that moment, even though it was still only the bottom of the 7th inning, it felt like that was game right there.
In a weird way, I'd almost rather get walked off, because that's kind of like a quick old yeller way of putting me out of my misery, opposed to the way it went down.
Like false hope. Well, like, then, we can still do it.
But then for 3 innings, it's like you're thinking about the home run, but then you're sitting there just dwelling on, we got to get that run. We got to get that run. We got to get that run. And then it just never came. At least if they got walked off, there would have been no debating it. There would have been no overthinking it. It just would have been, we'd screwed up and we threw a pitch we shouldn't have thrown, and it was over.
Thinking about it some more in the last 20 seconds, I know I said it would take me like a couple of weeks, maybe a month to get up. No, actually, if I was a Mariners fan, and I'm sure there are going to be Mariners fans out there that feel this way, until they reach a World Series and win a World Series, they will never get over that moment. That moment right there, the name George Springer in Seattle will be a curse word. Bizzardo, the reliever that came in for the Mariners, that decision that Dan Wilson made completely backfired on him. It shows you once again, you can't manage postseason games how you managed regular season games. And his explanation after the game, Dan Wilson, the manager of the Mariners, was, well, we've been doing it all year long. This is what we've been done. This is what we've done all year long. Bizzardo, that's his spot. No, bro. No. This is game 7 of the ALCS. This is not a Tuesday night in July against, the Astros. This is game 7. Andres Munoz, your star closer, who has, let me check. Oh, that's right. Didn't allow a hit in the postseason until he came in after Bizzardo. But you know what he also didn't do? Didn't give up a run. This entire postseason did not give up a run. And he barely pitched. So that moment is going to live with Mariners fans forever. It is one of the most heartbreaking feelings that you could experience. Baseball, it's different. Like in basketball, the game moves quickly. Football, the same way. Football is a different type. Like for me, I remember plays that just haunt me to this day as a Niner fan over the last 2 decades. But in baseball, it's like almost dying a slow death at times. And then that can happen. Things can change like that. And when you're so close, it's different. It's different. Like, oh, we're 8 outs away. We're 7 outs away. We're 6 outs away. And then Dan Wilson brings in Bizzardo, who's pitched like every game of the postseason for the Mariners, instead of Munoz, who is their ace closer. And the top of the lineup's coming up for the Mariners, or for the Blue Jays. Just an all-time gaffe by Dan Wilson. And just an all-time heartbreaking, crushing end to a season for the Mariners. There's no other way to put it.
And you know what? Even worse than that, now that it's in Toronto, we're going to have to look at Drake for at least 2 games. Drake's going to be there all the time.
Yeah.
If a Toronto team wins something, Drake's jumping on the bandwagon.
Yeah, and now we get a Blue Jays-Dodgers World Series. Like I said, we all know what's going to happen. We all know the Dodgers are going to win in 5, maybe even sweep them. But I felt that way even if the Mariners were going to make the World Series too. Like I felt that if the Mariners made the World Series, no matter who made it, Dodgers in 5, unfortunately. So, just a brutal night for Mariners fans. Brutal night. Brutal. All right, the NBA is back tonight. Alan Sliwa, he's going to join us next. Talk about Lakers Warriors tonight in LA. That's all coming up next right here on Jon and Jim on San Diego Sports 760 and live on the iHeartRadio app.
This report is sponsored by the playoff-bound San Diego FC. World Series games 1 and 2 have been set between the Dodgers and Blue Jays. They're set for Friday and Saturday night at 5 o'clock from Toronto. The Dodgers, no surprise, are heavily favored to win the series. In other baseball news, the Angels are hiring Kurt Suzuki as their new manager. Sources told ESPN today. Suzuki, who's 42, spent 16 years playing for 5 teams and won the 2019 World Series with the Nationals. He has spent the last 3 years as a special assistant to the Angels general manager. And the NBA tips off tonight with a doubleheader at 4:30. The Rockets take on the defending champion Thunder, and then the Warriors take on Luka and the Lakers. You can hear our pregame coverage right here at 6:45 on your home for Lakers basketball in San Diego Sports 760. San Diego Football Club is heading to the Audi 2025 MLS Cup playoffs. Get tickets now for round 1, best of 3 series that begins late October at Snapdragon Stadium. It's our time, all in for San Diego.
All right, back here on Jon and Jim, the NBA tips off tonight. Thunder and Rockets are the first game of the NBA season, followed by the Lakers and the Warriors up in LA. We're joined now by Alan Sliwa of Hoops Talk and the Alan Sliwa Show, and a lot to talk about with Alan. But I wanted to start first because we can talk about the basketball here in a second. But obviously, everyone knows you're a diehard Padres fan. They're now looking for another manager. So I'll ask you here, Alan, so far early in this process, is there anybody out there that you like to be the next Padres manager?
Well, first, appreciate you having me on, Jim. Okay, so I don't really, I'll tell you this, there's a certain mold that I'm hoping for, but I don't know if I could apply a name to it. I know the hot name right now is Albert Pujols, or at least the idea and the concept that they are going to interview him. I'll tell you that I'm still, Mike Schilt leaving the way he did is still shocking to me. And the fact that we're having this conversation is kind of crazy. But if we try to find a silver lining, is there a manager that can come in that has the respect of the players? And I think just as important, is there a manager that can come in and demand the best out of players and be open to criticizing them in whatever fashion, that's done, and whatever way to motivate them to be better, obviously on the field. I don't know if it's supposed to be Albert Pujols. I don't know if it's supposed to be Ruben Niebla, but I'd like somebody with experience. I'd like to think that the Padres are in a window right now where they're still thinking, we got to compete again to make the playoffs. Anything can happen once you get in. And somebody with no experience at all as being a manager in Major League Baseball, that worries me a little bit. But I know you never know in baseball. What can you possibly get out of these players? Because there's a lot of players on this roster that underperformed in critical moments. Can that manager help? I don't have that answer for you.
Yeah, I don't think anybody has the answer for anybody, because right now, whoever they hire, if it is a first-time guy, like, nobody knows. And even if they do bring in somebody with experience, nobody knows there either. So
Sure.
It's kind of a crapshoot. Like, it's one of those things where whoever they hire, you hope for the best and you hope they stay here for longer than 2 years, because right now the pattern with this franchise is managers around here, they have a shelf life of 2 seasons, and that is it. So Padres looking for a new manager, Lakers looking for, another trip back to the NBA finals. They're starting the season without LeBron for about a month or so. Don't know the exact timetable on that, but tonight they tip off against the Warriors. Luka, full season of Luka for the Lakers. For you, Alan, heading into this season, what's the biggest storyline with the Lakers?
I don't think it's going to be Luka, because I feel like I already know what Luka is going to bring to the table. I already know Luka's probably going to be 38-8 a night, and I think you could just kind of put that to the side. The role players, guys like DeAndre Ayton and Marcus Smart, they're going to be big stories. I think they will have their moments where they're critical, and they'll have their moments where maybe they're playing well, maybe they're struggling. I think for me, there's two players that I have in mind. I think trying to figure out what LeBron is in his 23rd season in the NBA is interesting. It is fascinating. And this is the first time he's not going to be there for an opener, let alone probably not come back till mid-November. Is LeBron going to see this steep decline like we've expected for the last 4 years and been wrong? Or is he just going to kind of continue, yeah, here's another 24, 6 and 6? So I think the LeBron piece of this is interesting. I think the way the summer went with LeBron, a little extra noise, the fact that the Lakers didn't offer, at least it didn't seem like they offered, a contract extension. He didn't get another 1+1. This will be the final year of his contract. I do think that's kind of how can that not be the biggest thing that's you're watching as the season progresses? The other player I will just say, Austin Reeves is, I do my show every morning, obviously on YouTube. And I will tell you that if there's one player that is getting so much heat before anything even started, it's Austin Reeves. There is the megaphone that's out of saying he's not worth X amount of dollars next year. Trade him now. Him and Luka aren't going to work. So I think that's going to be fascinating too, to see how Austin Reeves and Luka play together and if that's a winning recipe or not.
Alan Sliwa of Hoops Talk and the Sliwa Show on YouTube joining me here on Jon and Jim. Yeah, without LeBron right now, obviously this is, Luka's time to shine. And when you look at the team as it's constructed, even with LeBron, defensively, how do you think this Lakers team can stack up here? Because, DeAndre Ayton and Luka, those are two guys that are kind of known for not being defensive players in their own right. So looking at this team right now, I feel like defensively is a kind of a big question mark. Do you agree?
Yeah, I think you and I can get a bucket on Luka and Austin Reeves.
Yeah,
we go a little 2-on-2. I think we can get some buckets in. It's clearly a problem, and I think here's what I will say. I will say that last year the team had a lot of deficiencies once they traded Anthony Davis and Luka came aboard. Don't forget Max Christie was traded too.
Yeah,
and they still kind of found a way to piece things together. Here's what I think it's going to come down to. Is DeAndre Ayton a serviceable center that can hold his own? Doesn't have to be a top 10 center in the NBA, but can he hold his own? Can Jared Vanderbilt, who's a phenomenal defender, can he stay healthy during the season? And can he also not be such a liability on offense that teams are able to kind of play him off of the court? And Marcus Smart doesn't have to be exactly what he was with the Boston Celtics, but can he be 75% of what he was with the Boston Celtics? I say that because there are players on this roster now that weren't there last season that I do think have some upside on the defensive side, but it's going to have to be done collectively. I think it's a major question mark. And, I say this all the time. If the strategy is, well, we'll just put up 125 points, I don't think that's going to be a winning strategy in the Western Conference, and that's only going to take you so far.
What do you see happening in the Western Conference? Like, how do you see it shaping out? Do you still have OKC as the clear-cut, far and away favorite here, or is there a team out there in the West that you think could compete with them?
I think they're the favorite, but I think they can be beat. Like, I don't forget last season in the playoffs. Give them all the credit in the world. It's the first time they've ever first time they ever won an NBA championship. Tonight they'll get the banner, they'll get the rings. They deserve all of that. They did go 7 against Denver. They did go 7 against the Indiana Pacers. It's not like maybe their record represented that they were unbeatable, but watching a lot of games, I watched towards the final couple regular season games of the year. I watched the Lakers go to OKC and blow them out. And then I watched them play again 2 nights later, and it was a tie game until Luka got a second technical foul and was thrown out of the game. I guess the point that I'm trying to make is I think they'll be better this year. I think they'll have more continuity, chemistry, and confidence. But I still think there are teams out there that can give them a run of their money. And I don't think if there's a team out there that's got the experience and everything else that also feels like they got the best player in the world, for me, it would be Denver. That would be the biggest threat to them in the West.
Alan Sliwa joining me here on Jon and Jim. Of course, Lakers Warriors tonight at 7 p.m. in Los Angeles. You can hear that game right here on San Diego Sports 760. So looking at the Eastern Conference here, no Jason Tatum for the year, no Tyrese Halliburton for the year. It kind of feels like the East is wide open. And for me, I have the Cavs, but other than that, I'm like, maybe the Hawks are a surprise team. How do you see the East looking this year?
It's got to be Cavs and the Knicks in the Eastern Conference Finals. I mean, for both of those franchises, if they're not both in the Eastern Conference Finals with one series win away of getting to the NBA Finals, then maybe it's just not meant to be for both of those franchises. Maybe they are going to have to rebuild because it's never going to be more open, like you mentioned. And it doesn't mean other teams can't make some noise, like the Orlando Magic or the Atlanta Hawks or Giannis, obviously, and the Milwaukee Bucks. They're always going to be in the mix, but it's never going to look like this again. Eventually, Tatum is going to come back. Eventually, other teams in the Eastern Conference will just get better. So you got two really good teams with a lot of phenomenal performers in the Knicks and in the Cavs, but you also got two teams that once the Knicks got past Boston, you thought that was a free reign to the NBA Finals. We saw what they did. The Cavs, I don't think they've been past the second round with that iteration of their team. So it's got to be that one of those two teams that are representing the East. If it's not, then maybe those two franchises got to look in a different direction.
All right, so Lakers Warriors tonight, 7 p.m. in LA. You have a post-game show on YouTube, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right, so you can check out Alan after the Lakers Warriors game tonight on his YouTube channel. Enjoy the game tonight, Alan, and we'll talk to you down the road. All right, man?
All right, Jim. Thanks, brother.
All right, Alan Slewa there of Hoops Talk and the Slewa Show on YouTube. Go follow him if you're a Lakers fan. He does post-game shows just like we do, wrap-up shows after every Lakers game. All right, coming up next, I have a big problem with Rob Parker. I gotta call a spade here. I'll tell you why. Coming up next. All right, so we all know I do not like the Dodgers. Duh. Despise them, hate their fans, all of it. I'm not a big Shohei Otani fan. I think he's fake. I think he's the definition of eyewash. There was a picture going around of Shohei Otani's NLCS MVP trophy, Brent, in the middle of the Dodgers clubhouse with a tag on it that was on top of like Shohei's name, or at least where it says NLCS MVP, and it just says team effort. Like the definition of eyewash, probably one of the most corniest things I've ever seen. So with all that being said, I don't like Otani. I think he's incredibly fake. I think he's incredibly phony. I think he got away with the gambling scandal. He had a fall guy. And I just think he just rubs me the wrong way. He's just the definition of cringe. But he's the best player in the sport. I'm not denying that. Now that he's pitching, he's the best player in the sport. When he's not pitching, that's up for debate. Because Aaron Judge still exists. But when he's pitching, he's the best player in the sport. And when he goes out and he, in not an elimination game for the Dodgers, but a clinching game, when he goes out there, he goes 6 innings, strikes out 10, and he hits 3 home runs. Yeah, it's hard to argue that's not one of, if not the greatest, postseason performances ever. There's only one person in this world that doesn't think that. His name is Rob Parker. And this is what Rob Parker had to say last night on this very station. Take a listen to this clown.
This is why people get caught up on this whole idea of prisoner of the moment. Because the prisoner of the moment made it like Shohei had done something that nobody had ever done. Okay?
Okay.
And it's not true. Okay? First of all, people have hit 3 home runs in a game.
I'm laughing at you fighting for your life right now.
Reggie Jackson hit 3 home runs on 3 pitches, consecutive pitches, by 3 different pitchers in a World Series game. An incredible feat.
That's how I feel.
Here's the other part. So people, I get it. He's a unicorn. They're making it like, nobody. Well, yeah, we know because only him and Babe Ruth have been the only guys who have pitched, right, and hit home runs at this kind of clip. There's only been 2 guys since the 20s. But people keep going, he's the first guy since, of course he is, because nobody else has ever done it.
That's exactly why it's impressive. Nobody else has done it.
Hear me out.
You know nobody else has ever done this before, but it ain't impressive.
No, Babe Ruth was the last guy who had the opportunity.
So 100 years ago.
Okay, but here's the part where they go, they say the 3 home runs, okay. Even though Kike Hernandez had 3 home runs in a game, playoff game. That didn't happen. It's not like that never happened.
Okay.
But then the whole thing is about, and he struck out 10. He struck out 10 batters. He struck out 10. I'm like, okay, that's good. Okay. But it wasn't like he had shut down the mighty Milwaukee Brewers. And here's my issue. Blake Snell pitched 8 innings of unbelievable ball against the Milwaukee Brewers. Yamamoto pitched a complete game against the Milwaukee Brewers. They were dead on arrival. Shohei didn't do anything special. Everybody and their uncle, I could have pitched 4 scoreless innings against that team. They couldn't hit. They couldn't score any runs. So people are making it like he pitched a no-hitter and hit 4 home runs and on every at-bat.
That's not
what happened.
We get the point. That's enough. So, look, Rob Parker's already hanging on by a thread anyway to try to be somewhat relevant in his professional landscape because he's about as irrelevant as it comes, and he only pops up when he has takes like this on a national radio show. Rob Parker has made a career off of rage baiting his way through sports takes. Rarely does he ever have a thought or a take that's intelligent. He only says things to get a reaction. And this is a perfect example. He kind of reminds me of Skip Bayless, where Skip Bayless is now irrelevant as well. I don't really see anything from Skip because, like I said, he's not on television anymore. He's not on a national platform. I think he has a YouTube channel. I don't know. I would never listen to it. But the thing with Rob Parker is kind of the same. I mean, he's on night times here on just a god-awful show. He has these takes where he's only saying it to get a reaction. I don't think he believes it because what he's saying there is probably the dumbest thing, one of the dumbest things I've heard this year. And I don't like Shohei Otani. But to say that it's never been done before, yeah, Rob, you're right. It's never been done before. So when something's never been done before, it's pretty good. So look, yeah, I'm seeing it like Rob Parker is the definition of holding on by a thread. So I'm just going to say something here that sounds so outlandish. I'm going to make awful announcing just to keep my career, going, because right now it's on live support. That's fine. I mean, I think he's had a fine career, but that's who he's been his entire life in the sports landscape. When he's on television or when he's on radio, he says these things that are just the dumbest things you've ever heard. I think Rob Parker is the definition of cringe, and he is awful. And look, if you are denying that Shohei Otani put up one of the greatest games in postseason history, you're a Rob Parker. You're a Rob Parker. You can hate Shohei Otani as much as you want, which I do. I hate the Dodgers. I hate Otani with a passion. But there's no denying that when you go out there and you pitch 6 innings of shutout ball, 10 strikeouts, and 3 home runs in a game, there's no denying it. There's none. So if you can't accept it, you're a Rob Parker. Sorry. And you don't want to be a Rob Parker. You never want to be a Rob Parker. Ever. That guy is, man, makes your eardrums bleed. And he'll continue to have these takes, and he'll continue to have his career on life support using rage bait topics. And it is what it is. And he'll keep on getting picked up by awful announcing, and that's how his career will survive. So congratulations to Rob Parker for being the idiot of the day. All right, coming up next, we'll talk some NFL. Also, back to the Padres managerial search and SDFC in the postseason this weekend. Who will they play? We'll find out tomorrow night. So all that coming up next right here on Jon and Jim on San Diego Sports 760 and live on the iHeartRadio app.
This report is sponsored by Staples. World Series games 1 and 2 between the Dodgers and Blue Jays are all set for Friday and Saturday night at 5:00 from Toronto. The Dodgers are heavy favorites in the series. In other baseball news, the Angels are hiring Kurt Suzuki to be their next manager, according to ESPN. Suzuki, who's 42, spent 16 years playing for 5 different clubs, and he won the 2019 World Series with the Nationals. He has spent the last 3 years as a special assistant to the Angels general manager. And the NBA season tips off tonight with a doubleheader at 4:30. The Rockets take on the defending champion Thunder, and then the Warriors take on new skinny Luka and the Lakers. You can hear our pregame coverage starting right here at 6:45 on your home for Lakers basketball in San Diego Sports 760. Your local Staples has hot deals and super low prices throughout the store on everything for your business. And right now at Staples, save up to $125 off your print order. Exclusions apply. Visit staples.com/print for details. Ends November 1st. Plus, save even more with the Easy Rewards program at Staples.
Questions abound for the Padres.
Pujols is the new manager, and who makes the hire?
What do you think?
The Aztecs head out to Fresno this weekend. Is Aztec Fast finally taking hold with the Scarlet and Black? The NBA season tips off tonight with Lakers versus Warriors right here on San Diego Sports 760. Plus, we have a World Series matchup. Do they sell poutine at Dodger Stadium? Fries, cheese, and gravy. How can you go wrong?
Yummy.
We talk about it all from the San Diego Sports 760 studios with Jon and Jim.
All right, hour 2 of Jon and Jim on a Tuesday. As I mentioned at the top of the show last hour, Jon obviously off today. His wife had surgery today, so he's with his wife. He'll be back tomorrow. People are in the chat wondering where Jon is, saying that he's soft for not being here. He has a valid excuse today, guys. He has an absolutely valid excuse. So Jon will be back tomorrow, and he's with his wife right now. So yeah, Jon will be back tomorrow for the show. All right, NBA season tips off tonight. That theme song is back. We can finally have that theme song back.
Yeah, the John Tesh, they brought it back.
Yes.
I told this to Alan when he was on his way out when you were done talking to him. I hope that NBC just blatantly just rips off their coverage presentation from the 90s.
They are, I think.
Just go full in on the nostalgia. Just go in, use the same overlays, use not only the John Tesh, just do everything that you did in the 90s. You'll just have new commentators in there. Instead of Ahmad Rashad, we'll have Reggie Miller. But just do everything and just lean full into all the nostalgia.
Well, we'll see, because the NBA on NBC tips off tonight. Doubleheader. Thunder Rockets, Lakers Warriors. I can't wait. I do think that the NBA needed a massive, massive upgrade and refresh over ESPN. I mean, I know they're still going to have games on ESPN, but the opener of the season, I'm done with the ESPN NBA broadcasts are awful. So I'm definitely excited to see what the NBC broadcast looks like going forward.
I'm excited just to get more. They're advertising the NBC Peacock thing, but these games are going to be on just normal NBC. So even if you don't have cable or anything like before, where I don't have ESPN or I don't have TNT, then you're kind of SOL. But now there's going to be so many primetime games just on just basic television that that's what I'm looking forward to. Is just we're not going to just sit around and act like the season doesn't exist until Christmas. We're going to have actual games on a frequent basis, and that's what I'm excited for.
I also when I see the NBA on NBC, like it brings me right back to when I was 7 years old. I think it was. No, I was 8 years old. It was the Jordan shot against off Russell.
Oh, okay.
The 98 finals.
Yeah, the flu game.
I think that was like my first memory, like my distinctive memory of a basketball game that I watched on television. And that, of course, was on NBC and had Bob Costas on the call. But then you get into the early 2000s and the Lakers being, the three-peat and that being on NBC and hearing Bill Walton on the call, like the graphics, you're right, Brent, the graphics, like the sound of it, everything. The NBA on NBC, it's back where it belongs. It's back home. I wish that that the NBA on TNT didn't have to die because of this. But at the same time, I do think going forward, the NBA on NBC is just a much needed upgrade from the current NBA ESPN BS.
Like I said, just lean heavy in with the nostalgia because, honestly, you had people hooked as soon as you're like, oh yeah, by the way, we're bringing John Tesh back.
Yeah. Just bring theme songs back. Bring graphics back. People will love it.
It's like, no, we're not going to just get some random country singer and Snoop Dogg and just do some cover of the John. No, we're going to just bring the John Tesh thing back. We're just going to, do all of that. Bring back NBA inside stuff and just go full 90s.
Where's Ahmad Rashad?
Yeah, where's Summer Sanders? I think she works for ESPN now, actually.
I'm interested to see how they use Michael Jordan. He's like their legacy guy where he's only going to be doing sit downs with Mike Tirico or something. I don't even know.
It's something along the lines of, just say for discussion's sake, there's, going to be 40 NBC televised things. He's not going to be on every one. He's only supposed to be at like 10 out of the 40 because he's like a special attraction sort of a deal. I do believe he is doing an interview tonight though, because I thought Wilbon and then we're talking about it earlier.
He is. They already have a special sit down with Mike Tirico, like in his house or in his trophy room or something to make everybody see how great Michael Jordan was. Like, hey, by the way, here's my 6 NBA championships behind me, and also my 6 finals MVPs and my 5 regular season MVPs and all my scoring titles and my defensive players of the year. There's my gold medal over there. I'm the greatest of all time, but I won't say it because I'm not LeBron James that have to be that type of person that says I'm the greatest of all time. I just let my work do its job for me. So yeah, NBA tips off tonight. Are you, Brent? Are you on the same mindset of like it's the Thunder and everybody else this year, or do you think that the Thunder could take a step back, or is this like we're about to see a little mini dynasty start here with the Thunder?
It all depends. John kind of joked about it yesterday that their biggest threat this year is going to be themselves, and he was joking, but to a certain degree, he's right. As long as they don't get too full of themselves and they're not still drinking the championship Kool-Aid from last season and they've kind of moved on, and they got to stay healthy, because if anything happens to Shea, they're done. They got some good supporting.
They'll still be a good team, but they're not going to win the NBA title.
Yeah, they're going to put it. They would go from being like the top team to down to like 7th or 8th, so it would be a huge drop. So they have to stay healthy, and I don't know. I'm kind of really interested to see just what Luka's going to do since he lost all that weight. Because, he plays awesome when he was a little chubby. And now that he lost some weight and, his conditioning is going to be better, are we going to see even better numbers from him? Or is it just going to be up in minutes? Especially he's not going to have LeBron around for, Allen said maybe for at least 2-3 weeks, something like that. So, it's going to be his show to run. So I'm kind of interested just to see how he's going to come out, and, are the Bucks going to do good enough that Giannis is not going to, demand that he gets traded and he's not a Nick by the All-Star break. And so there's some interesting things this season I'm looking forward to.
Well, the Western Conference is infinitely more interesting than the Eastern Conference. I can tell you that.
Well, once again, it's like a throwback again, because now it's the West is just head over heels better than the East, to where it's like, oh, it doesn't matter who goes in the East because they're going to get crushed by whoever wins in the West.
I mean, like, I know we talked a little bit with Alan Sliwa about it, mean, you got Cleveland, you got the Knicks, maybe Milwaukee,
maybe Orlando.
I can't put Boston there because they don't have Tatum. I can't put Indiana in there because they don't have Tyrese Halliburton. I mean, Detroit was good last year, but come on. I just don't see anybody in the East matching up with whoever comes out of the West, barring some crazy injuries.
No, like I said, it's like those old years where it's like when they matched them up, where it's like, the top 7 in the West would all beat, the top 2 in the East, and it's just going to be a super weak year for the East. And
like, imagine if the Warriors were in the Eastern Conference this year.
Oh, they'd walk away with it.
Yeah, if the Rockets were in the Eastern Conference this year. I still have to see about the Rockets. But I still think they're going to be a good team. I don't know if they're going to be this great team because Fred VanVleet, losing him for the year, I think is massive. And I don't know if they have enough shooting, by the way.
Well, I want to see what KD shows up to. Is it going to be, sometimes when KD shows up, if he's not very motivated, he just kind of is there.
I think he's going to be motivated.
Like he was in Brooklyn.
I just don't think they have enough. Like, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they do have enough scoring.
I think they're banking a lot on those 2 rookies from last year.
Oh,
the one twin guy, I forget what his name is. They don't both play for the team, but the one of the twins and that other rookie, that I think they're going to rely heavily on them this year.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about. They traded.
It's just like Amani or something.
Yeah, they traded Jalen Green, but it's Amen Thompson.
Yeah,
he's, is he a guy though that can shoot the 3? I mean, without Fred VanVleet on the team and Jalen Green, I mean, you're asking Kevin Durant to do a lot. So in the Western Conference, look, don't count out Dallas. Got to, worry about injuries there too. I mean, Kyrie Irving, he might not even return this year from his ACL injury. But if he does and they're healthy when he returns, like, they could watch out for them with Cooper Flagg and Anthony Davis. Denver, obviously, always there because of Jokic. The Clippers, don't count out the Clippers. The Warriors, the Lakers, the Timberwolves. I mean, San Antonio. Like, that is a gauntlet right there.
Well, I think that might be the sleeper this year, is San Antonio.
San Antonio?
Yeah.
Well, if Wembanyama is going to be like Shaquille O'Neal / Dirk Nowitzki / Steph Curry / LeBron James, then yeah, probably watch out for the San Antonio Spurs. If he can stay healthy, because I know he had a blood clot last year in his arm or shoulder, I think it was. But if he's healthy, yeah, San Antonio Spurs, Wembanyama, he could become easily the best player in the league, like, this year, if he's healthy. He's that good. So it all starts tonight. 4:00, I think, is when
4:30.
4:30 is game 1, Thunder and Rockets in OKC, and then Lakers and Warriors at 7 p.m. Of course, we have that game here for you on San Diego Sports 760. All right, coming up next, what are some of the Padres' biggest needs this offseason? Along with their manager search, we'll give you an update on that. And also SDFC, their first home playoff match is this Sunday. We're going to hear from Tyler Heaps if you missed him yesterday, later this hour as well. So all that coming up next on Jon and Jim on San Diego Sports 760 and live on the iHeartRadio app. iHeartRadio has your hookup to hear new music from Bon Jovi before anyone else. The iHeartRadio album preview with Bon Jovi, Jovi featuring Forever, Discovery, Never Been Heard Before tracks from their new album Forever before its official release this Friday. You'll also hear an in-depth interview as Bon Jovi shares the vision, the vibe, and the voice behind their new album. The only way to be a part of this exclusive experience is to listen live this Thursday at 7 p.m. on today's mix in the free iHeartRadio app. Okay.
Yeah, it's even the legendary edition, Jim. You forgot that.
Oh, sorry. The legendary edition. Yeah, you're right. It's in parentheses here. My bad. So this town can never get out of its own way, Brent. Like ever. Ever. How long have you lived here, Brent?
Almost 10 years now.
10 years. I've been here since the end of 2010, start of 2011, so about 15 years. And over the last 15 plus years, I've seen this town have more renderings than things actually being accomplished than I can remember. I mean, you could literally make a picture book.
I love a good rendering.
Of the amount of renderings that this town has. And we could also have a book of renderings of things in this town, stadiums, arenas, that obviously never got built. We probably can start adding, or we can already add, the Midway project to that, the Midway Rising project to that book of renderings of arenas and stadiums that just never got built in this town for whatever reason. Because if you remember, the sports arena, which is awful, needs an upgrade like yesterday, was about to undergo, thanks to Stan Kroenke, this, like, I think it was $4 billion project called Midway Rising that would build an arena. It would also have housing. It's like a housing development. And what was kind of in the way of that all happening was this height limit. Remember the height limit, Brent?
Yeah.
For the Midway project, Midway Rising? Yeah, it was going to be a $4 billion redevelopment project.
That was the Riverwalk thing, right? Or
No,
that was another one of the 800 renderings.
right. That was different.
Okay.
That was different. Well, a court decision has thrown out the ballot measure supporting the project, or not thrown out the ballot measure, but it has halted the Midway Rising project because of a small community group called Save Our Access. I mean, what is going on here? John McNabb, the president of Save Our Access, highlighted the lack of transparency regarding the project's impact, stating what they didn't tell you is 200,000 people will be moving in, which could blow up the freeways.
So wait, if what they're saying is if they build apartments, people will move into them.
Yeah.
Wow, I never thought of that.
Right. If they build affordable housing,
People will live in it.
People will live in it. Some of the people in this town are so effing stupid. It just blows my mind how this town can never get anything done. It's a modern miracle that Snapdragon got built. Honestly.
Yeah.
And if this was in the city, there's no chance. Because this city's officials and politicians are all idiots. And it's not surprising that this is happening, honestly. You know, it's not surprising that something that was going to improve the city, something to, be proud of. Oh, a new arena, a new development. Because that area over there sucks. It sucks. You've been over there, Brent. It's awful. The sports arena, it's a gots to go situation. I remember going to a Lakers Warriors preseason game there and they had to call the game off in the third quarter because the court they had wasn't safe, and because the ice underneath the court was making like puddles.
Yeah. That happened once at the Kohl Center where the Badgers played when they first built it, because the hockey rink was underneath it. They had to do something that fixed it. But yeah, the first time it popped up, they kept getting all these condensation points that would pop up on the floor, and they kept having to wipe it down.
So once again, like, you got these stupid people in this town stopping things from actually taking place and happening. And the court's decision reinstates the height limit. So this is now posing a significant challenge to future development plans in that area. Good job, everybody. Good job. Way to make the city worse off, you freaking morons. What's this group called? Save Our Access. Good job, idiots. Congratulations. You just halted a $4 billion project that was going to help this city have a new arena, affordable housing, bringing money to the city. Nah.
Not in my neighborhood.
Not in my neighborhood. Save Our Access. Bunch of losers. All right, coming up next. If you missed it yesterday, Tyler Heaps, the general manager of SDFC, joined us to talk about their trip to the postseason as the #1 seed in the Western Conference. We'll bring back that conversation coming up next right here on Jon and Jim on San Diego Sports 760 and live on the iHeartRadio app.
The support is sponsored by Staples. World Series games 1 and 2 between the Dodgers and Blue Jays are all set for Friday and Saturday night at 5:00 from Toronto. The Dodgers are heavy favorites in the series. In other baseball news, the Angels hired Kurt Suzuki today to be their new manager, according to ESPN. Suzuki, who's 42, spent 16 years playing for 5 different clubs, and he won the 2019 World Series with the Nationals. He's spent the last 3 years as a special assistant to the Angels general manager. And the NBA season tips off tonight with a doubleheader. In about an hour, the Rockets and Kevin Durant are going to take on the defending champion Thunder. And then the Warriors take on Luka and the Lakers. You can hear our pregame coverage starting right here at 6:45 on your home for Lakers basketball in San Diego Sports 760. Your local Staples has hot deals and super low prices throughout the store on everything for your business. And right now at Staples, save up to $125 off your print order. Exclusions apply. Visit staples.com/print for details. Ends November 1st. Plus, save even more with the Easy Rewards program at Staples.
All right, back here on Jon and Jim. So SDFC is awaiting to find out who their opponent will be in their first round matchup. Tomorrow night is when they'll find out. Timbers take on Real Salt Lake. Winner of that obviously moves on to face SDFC. Game 1 is on Sunday night here at Snapdragon Stadium at 6:30. Yesterday, we had GM of SDFC, Tyler Heaps, on the show, and we started off our conversation with when he became the general manager of this team. Did he ever expect to have this amount of success this early on?
That was not at the top of my mind at that time. I think we had 3 players signed whenever I officially started. I was working behind the scenes and for about 12 months before that with Right to Dream and with the group. But never once did I think, hey, let's go win the Western Conference. That would have been very ambitious and bold of me. I was just trying to figure out how do we get this thing off the ground and start building the pieces to hopefully eventually do this and do it consistently. It's just the success has come really quickly, and that's a credit to everybody in the organization and how much work has went into it these past 10 months.
So this past Saturday night, you needed a couple things to happen in your favor to get the 1 seed. Did you have like the double box up and like watching obviously what's going on with Vancouver and Dallas, and then what's happening in front of you with Portland and San Diego? What was that experience like for you to watch the game in front of you with SDFC, and then watching to see if you can get other results to get the 1 seed, clinched up for the Western Conference?
Yeah, I was fortunate I was out of the rain, so I could have a phone and a computer next to me. I had my assistant sporting director sat next to me, and we had the live alerts on, so we saw when they got a red card, and we were still focused on our game. And the second half made it a little bit easier to start to focus on the other results because of the way that we were playing and the fact that we put our game to bed really, really quickly in the second half. And so, yeah, all kind of the stars aligned. It was a special moment for the club, for the city. It was great that we had so many traveling supporters there too. And then that moment on the field after is one I'll probably remember for a long time. But just getting to celebrate with those guys in the pouring rain, again, credit to them. They put so much work into this. And the fact is that everything kind of aligned for us on the last day. And it's a fantastic end to the regular season. And now it's kind of like, now what? What can we do now in the playoffs? And how do we continue to build this season and make it a special one?
Tyler Heaps, SDFC's general manager, with us right now on Jon and Jim. I'm glad you went there with the postseason. And maybe this is a dumb question, but in a lot of other professional sports in the U.S., things change in the postseason. Like we'll say in the NBA, this team was the 2 seed all year, but they're not a good matchup for the 7 seed because Golden State's a veteran team. And even though they're the 7 seed, it's going to be tough for the 2 seed. Or in baseball, right? This team's a good matchup or a bad matchup. For your club, now that you're in as the 1 seed, does anything change in terms of putting you in a position to have the same success you just had in the regular season?
I think it's the same in soccer. It's probably more so. The matchups do matter. Right. What we've proven is that we're going to be who we are no matter what. And I think that's our super strength. I think Mikey said that in the post-match, but that is our strength, is that no matter who we play, where we play, we're going to play the same way. That's not the case for everybody in this league. And so I have no doubt in my mind people will try to play us differently. They try to do it during the regular season. I think a lot of teams will sit in. It's why we've struggled to come away with wins at Snapdragon, although the performances have been really good. But teams come here and set up shop and say, okay, good luck beating us. We're going to waste time and we're going to try to chop the game up. And because that's the way that we think we have the best chance. The first round goes straight to penalties after 90 minutes. So I definitely think there's going to be teams that have that on their mind. And so we need to do what we did in this last. We need to score early on teams. That changes the game picture for us massively. Whenever we score early on teams, they can't waste time anymore, and they have to come out a little bit. And whenever teams come out on us, I think we can kill them. And we proved it again in Portland away. So just trying to keep that rhythm, but our approach will be the exact same. But there are matchup issues or problems. I think I'm looking forward to seeing who wins on Wednesday night and who we get on Sunday. But we'll be ready in whatever team that we do face, and just for us about doing what we do and do it at a high level.
What can you say about Mikey Varas and the job that he's done here in year one as the manager of this club?
I mean, he's been incredible. Similar to I probably could have never guessed that he would have been this good. I got excited every single time I had a chance to talk to him in the interview process. I think you guys hear how he approaches his media and some of the segments that he does in our social with how he's speaking to the team before or after the game. But he's got a really, really special quality of being able to connect with players in this city and this community. And he's a fantastic coach. I also think that we've built a really special group of coaches around him. And that was something that him and I did together when we built out his staff. And that really helped our relationship. And we have an unbelievable working relationship. We kind of know what each other are going to say before we even have to talk to each other. And that's been really good to be able to check and challenge each other, because the end of the day, we're both in this for the first time together. I'd never been a sporting director before, and he'd never been a head coach. And I think in this league, and I think that scared some people, but I think what we've proven is that whenever you have a way of doing things and whenever you're confident in each other, great things can happen.
Tyler Heaps, general manager of SDFC, with us right now on Jon and Jim. Again, the postseason opener is going to be Sunday night, Snapdragon Stadium, opponent TBD, but a 6:30 kickoff for that postseason opener for SDFC. You mentioned the format, the fact that after 90 minutes in the first round, you go right to penalty kicks. This is a best of 3 opening round as well. What do you make of the format? Do you like the format? Would you prefer it look different? What do you make of it?
This is the first time I've been in this league, and I've watched MLS and followed MLS from afar for a long time. It's a bit confusing at first. I think it makes sense. I get both sides of it. Everybody that gets in the playoffs gets a home game. And I think that is important for these clubs. And as we continue to try to build this sport in this country, is to make sure that each home market gets a chance to see their team in a playoff structure. And I think it lends well to us. These single eliminations, not always the best team advances. So I do think a best of 3, it allows hopefully the best teams to try to grind their way out of it. Although, again, game by game, it can differ. And then it goes single elimination after that, and anything can happen. That's why I think in America, we love this sport, and just making sure that we give ourselves the best chances to win. And we got to try to control what we can control and leave as little doubt as possible. With the way we play, we should be able to control a lot of these games. It's just about taking our chances and taking them often.
Anders Dreyer's had a fantastic year. 2 more goals this past weekend against Portland. He's played every match for you guys, 19 goals on the year. He's going to be in the MVP discussion this season. He has just been the backbone of your club.
Yeah, he's a tremendous person, and he's an unbelievable competitor. And I think we've put him in positions, and he's taken those every step of the way. The fact that he has been available for all 34 games. He came over without getting an off season too. That's what people don't realize, is that our schedule's different than Europe, and he'd already played 6 months of his season. And so he's going on 18 months here straight. And the fact is, he still shows up day in and day out and trains hard and is a huge proponent of our group. And then he scores world-class goals like he did on Saturday. And so we need him, and he understands too that we in the way that we play make him better together. And I think he's got 38 goal contributions. So if we can get him over 40 in the playoffs and continue to push forward, but he's been a huge addition, not only on the field but also off the field. And we're looking forward to seeing how he can perform in the playoffs.
Tyler, final one for me is just about the support from the fan base in San Diego in year one, and what that's meant to the club and the organization, and what you'd want people to know about the importance of what's to come, obviously Sunday night and beyond.
It's incredible. I was fortunate before I signed. I got to go to a couple of Padres games last year, and I could see how much this city does show up for their sports teams. And I was one of those ones going to those early supporter-led meetups, and there were 10 of them there. So the fact is, whenever you get to Portland and you hear them chanting 90 minutes before the game. And we have one individual who's traveled to every single away game, and we gifted him a signed jersey on our team walk. Like, it's a huge sacrifice. And these guys use their hard-earned money to go and support us and travel around and come to the games and Snapdragon. And it's massive. I was a sports fan one day too, and I loved my hometown teams. And so the fact is now that we can kind of give back, and we're going to need every single one of them. I think the atmosphere is going to be electric on Sunday. I saw some of the videos of the fans celebrating in the streets and down in Chula Vista at the watch parties, and I'm really excited to get out there on Sunday and put together a really good performance and have this group behind us come the playoff time.
Congratulations on all the success to this point. Hopefully it continues, obviously, over the next month or so in the MLS postseason, which will get underway in San Diego Sunday night at 6:30. And if you're looking for tickets, you can find them, limited tickets at least, at sandiegofc.com. Tyler Heaps, GM of SDFC. Tyler, congratulations, and thanks as always for taking time for us.
Thanks, Tyler.
Appreciate you guys. Thank you.
All right, Tyler Heaps there of SDFC. Of course, their first home match of the postseason is this Sunday night at Snapdragon Stadium, 6:30 kickoff time. Of course, you can listen to that match right here on San Diego Sports 760. All right, coming up next, one of the weirder coaching, I guess, moves. It really hasn't happened yet, but it was reported on. And now everybody's kind of waiting to see what happens. It's just kind of a crazy story. We'll talk about it coming up next right here on Jon and Jim on San Diego Sports 760 and live on the iHeartRadio app. So the Padres aren't the only team looking for a manager this offseason. Kurt Suzuki was hired by the Angels earlier this afternoon to be their manager. Artie Moreno going Kurt Suzuki over Albert Pujols and Torrey Hunter. I don't know. Whatever. But another team that's looking for managers in the NL West, that's the San Francisco Giants. And weird kind of story here going on with their managerial hire. It was reported over the weekend that Tony Vitello, the head coach of the Tennessee Vols, was going to be their next manager, the Padres, or not the Padres, the Giants' next manager. But it never became official. It was just reported that he was going to be the next manager, or that the Giants offered him the job. And then today, Tennessee and their baseball. Tennessee is one of the best programs in all of college baseball. They have the number one recruiting class. They've won national championships. Tony Vitello has built a juggernaut at Tennessee. And that would be a really out of the box type of hire if Buster Posey were to do that. I was having a conversation with Taryn, and it was funny because obviously Tony Vitello is very good looking. He's got the beard. He's got the long flowing hair. It's like a Gabe Kapler 2.0. Like Gabe Kapler, he has one of the most chiseled jaws you'll ever see. I know you're looking him up, Brent. He's a handsome fella. No doubt about it. It's a Gabe Kapler 2.0. I think it'd be kind of weird from a Padres perspective. Sure, hire the college coach. I'm sure that will go over well. But today, they had a scrimmage at Tennessee. Tony Vitello is there. You had fans in the outfield with signs saying, "Don't leave Tony." There was people taking videos of Tony like from the outfield in the dugout. And they had their scrimmage. He was seen gesturing to the fans there. "We love you. Thanks for coming." And that's it. So did the Giants and Buster Posey whiff on Tony Vitello? Did Tony Vitello tell him no? Is he still figuring out if he wants to become the Giants manager or not? That's just a weird story to me. That's just weird.
It's just kind of unusual just because typically Major League Baseball doesn't like taking college coaches and making them major league coaches. It's not like, and NFL, if you're, a successful college coach, you can get a head coaching job in the NFL and use that as kind of like a springboard to your college career. They don't really do that in Major League Baseball. I can't think of like a successful college coach that is like, "Oh yeah, we need a manager. We're going to go get, the guy that runs LSU's baseball program or, one of the other like consistent, big name programs in college baseball." They don't. They'll just go, "Hey, instead, is that one guy that's been fired 6 times and got fired from his last 3 jobs. Yeah. Is he still around? Oh, he is. Well, of course he is. We'll take him instead of doing that."
So it's an interesting approach. Nothing's finalized yet, but it's definitely interesting nonetheless. And from the Padres perspective, look, we don't even know who the hell's hiring this manager in the first place. I don't know if it's just if AJ Preller has full control of who is the next manager. I don't even know if AJ Preller is going to be here next year. I don't even know if AJ Preller is going to sign a contract extension. Like, can we get the general manager signed or at least resolution on the general manager first? And seriously, if you're going to go into next year and be like, "Well, he's under contract," that's just it's so stupid because you're going into a lame duck season. Like, sign him to an extension. What is taking so long? It's October 21st. The Padres were eliminated on October 2nd. And they their manager quit, and you still don't have a resolution on your general manager. You can make moves, guys. It's okay. And maybe this is the week because there's nothing happening today, nothing happening tomorrow, there's nothing happening Thursday. And the only time things would happen during the World Series would be an off day, potentially. And even then, baseball doesn't want that because they want the World Series to be the main thing. Even though in baseball, it's not like football, where in football, if there's a coach hiring or a big trade or whatever, it becomes a huge story. Or like basketball, right? During the NBA Finals, LeBron's like, you know what? I want to make it about myself. I'm retiring. Like in baseball, it's a little different. On off days, you can announce stuff. So maybe we find out a resolution on Preller either tomorrow or Thursday or an off day during the World Series. But until then, I guess he's making the hire. I don't know. It's just a weird thing here in San Diego. It's very weird.
Until I hear different, I assume he's still pulling all the strings and doing everything.
Yeah, exactly. Unless I hear something different, right? AJ Preller still acting like big business as usual, which I guess is a good thing. But it's hard to look at these reports and not wonder to yourself, are they planning to do something incredibly stupid down there? Because of, once again, the drama and the power struggle, the Game of Thrones power struggle down at Petco Park. It's going to be interesting if they announce they hire a manager and they still don't have AJ Preller under contract beyond next season. That's going to be very interesting.
That's just what I was going to ask you. What happens first? They hire a manager, or they extend AJ?
I think they hire a manager first. I think they do. Even though it's going to be extremely awkward when at the press conference, if they actually do a press conference, my guess is they would, because it's a new manager. Every time, all these Zoom press conference, all these Zoom calls, it's like, what are we doing? So stupid. But it's going to be awkward at the press conference when Marty or Kevin or whoever asks the new manager, so how do you feel about AJ Preller only having 1 year left under his deal? You know, it's going to be awkward.
So when you got interviewed, exactly who was in the room?
Right. Who hired you?
Who wasn't in the room?
So we'll see. And there's another story, a little twist here with AJ Preller that I'll talk about coming up next hour. That, you know, if we're putting our conspiracy theory hats on, Brent, I'll throw this one in the mix. I'll throw it into the conspiracy pile.
I got my tinfoil ready. What's up?
We'll put our tinfoil hats on next hour, and we'll talk about potentially what could happen with AJ Preller if we are putting our tinfoil hats on. So all that coming up next right here on Jon and Jim on San Diego Sports 760 and live on the iHeartRadio app.
This report is sponsored by Starbucks. The World Series Game 1 and 2 have been set for Friday and Saturday night at 5 o'clock from Toronto. The Dodgers are heavy favorites to defeat the Blue Jays in the series. In other baseball news, the Angels are hiring Kurt Suzuki as their new manager. Suzuki spent 16 years playing for 5 different teams and won the 2019 World Series with the Washington Nationals. He has spent the past 3 years as a special assistant to the Angels general manager. And the NBA season tips off tonight with a doubleheader. In about a half hour, the Rockets take on the defending champion Thunder. And then after that, the Warriors take on Luka and the Lakers. You can hear our pregame coverage right here beginning at 6:45 on your home for Lakers basketball in San Diego Sports 760. The pumpkin spice latte is back at Starbucks, handcrafted with their signature espresso and real pumpkin sauce, then topped with whipped cream, cinnamon, and nutmeg. PSL, get it while it's hot or iced, only at Starbucks.
Questions abound for the Padres.
Pujols is the new manager, and who makes the hire?
What do you think?
The Aztecs head out to Fresno this weekend. Is Aztec Fast finally taking hold with the Scarlet and Black? The NBA season tips off tonight with Lakers versus Warriors right here on San Diego Sports 760. Plus, we have a World Series matchup. Do they sell poutine at Dodger Stadium? Fries, cheese, and gravy. How can you go wrong?
Yummy.
We talk about it all from the San Diego Sports 760 studios with Jon and Jim.
All right, hour 3 on Jon and Jim. We have tickets to give away today? I think we do.
Yeah, we have House Scream.
We do. We have Hallow Scream tickets at SeaWorld San Diego to give away this hour. So make sure you're listening for that. We're about 30 minutes, 25 minutes away from tip-off of the NBA season. Thunder and Rockets on NBC. It's funny because the broadcast started and immediately they had audio issues. If I was a producer for that broadcast, I'm losing my effing mind.
And it wasn't just, one mic went out and at work it was all static, and then they swapped it out, and then Maria's mic didn't work, it was all static.
That is the one thing. If you're like the producer behind the scenes, you're just like, oh my, you can't do anything about it. I mean, you have to like obviously troubleshoot and get the audio problems fixed, but there's a point where it's like, you're just watching it and you're just like, this is the worst.
Dude, it's better that happens now during pregame than during the game.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it'd be bad. But I do like how the pregame is called NBA Showtime.
Yeah.
Going back to an old NBA Showtime video game.
Well, and that's what they used to call the old pregame show too, was NBA Showtime.
Oh, okay.
That's why the video game was called that.
Dude, just give me all this nostalgic. Just give me all the nostalgia.
Oh yeah.
Give it to me.
And they've been going hardcore with the John Tesh. It's been in and out of every break, and they even got like some hip hop remixes of it.
Now I'm not a big fan of the graphics so far, Brent. Like, you see this graphics up here? I'm not a big fan of that. They just look too generic,
just bland.
Like, give me the old black and yellow. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
Give me the old black and yellow NBA on NBC graphics.
I'm kind of wondering what their end game like overlays are going to look like. Are they going to take any cues from like Apple TV where they were putting all the stats and stuff as the game goes on? Or are they going to have something like that, or is it just going to be just straight up just the normal score on the bottom, and that's about it?
Well, we got Mike Tirico, Jamal Crawford, and Reggie Miller. That's the A team, right? That's the A team on NBC for the NBA, which I think is good. I think Mike Tirico is really good.
I like Reggie.
I like Reggie a lot.
I like Jamal when he would fill in on TNT. I haven't heard him do like play-by-play or commentary too much, but he used to do fill-ins for when it was the B team on TNT, when Chuck and Shaq wouldn't be there, he was always on there.
He's good. So we'll see how that goes tonight. About 36 minutes till tip off in OKC. All right, Brent, let's get to it. If you're ready.
It's time for the wrap.
Presented by Sombrero Mexican Food. Check out their website at sombreromex.com.
Who do you want to see the San Diego FC play in the first round of the MLS playoffs?
I think Darren said yesterday. No, I know he said yesterday. He said the Portland Timbers. And for me, I'd have to agree with him. You know, they just had a 4-0 victory against the Timbers this past weekend on the road. Maybe a little message was sent by SDFC, which I'm all for. So as far as matchups go, I'll just side with Darren because he obviously knows about this more than I do. And I'll go with the Portland Timbers. Now, again, do I care who they play? No. But if you're looking at matchups, I think the Timbers might be a better matchup for SDFC for their chances to advance past the first round of the MLS postseason. Next question, Brent.
Who will win NBA MVP this year?
Well, I mean, right now I think Shea is the heavy favorite once again. I mean, there's really only like 5 guys every year right now that could win the MVP. It's Shea, it's Jokic, it's Giannis, it's who am I missing? Oh, Luka. Anybody else? I mean, if you want to throw in, I can't throw in Steph because he's not going to play he's not going to play as much as he used to play, and I don't think he's going to be averaging 35 points a game this year.
The 4 front runners are Joker's plus 215, Shea's plus 250, Luka is plus 440, and then Wemby is plus 850. Then everyone else is up in the thousands. Giannis is after that, but plus 1300.
Yeah, Wemby's a good pick. I wouldn't call Wemby a sleeper pick.
I think Luka's going to get it.
Okay, I'll go with the safe. I'll go with Shea again because I think the Thunder are going to have the best record in the league again. I think Shea, gets out of bed and he'll score 30 plus points a game. He'll get the free throw line constantly. I'll just go with Shea. I mean, it's boring, it's whatever, but that's my pick. Next question, Brad.
Are the Lions the best team in the NFC?
So they had their way last night with Tampa, holding the Bucs to only 9 points. Now, Mike Evans did leave that game, broke his collarbone. He's out for
he's out
most of the season. But if you just look at the landscape of the NFC, all right? So the Packers are the 1 seed because of that tie with the Cowboys. 4-1-1. Do you believe in the Packers? I already know your answer, Brent.
No, they got beat by the Browns. They had to they struggled to hang on to beat the Joe Flacco or to beat the Bengals with no Joe Burrow. They barely held on this week to beat Arizona without Kyler Murray. So they haven't been with the exception of week 1 when they beat Detroit, they have not been impressive at all.
I think it's absolutely hilarious that the Niners are the number 2 seed in the NFC right now when they have literally no healthy players on their team.
Come on, Mac Jones.
It's incredible to the point where if they ended up winning the NFC West, which I don't think they're going to do because I think the Rams are really good. I think the Seahawks are really good. But if they won the NFC West, Brent, and Christian McCaffrey is healthy and he's on pace for like 1,100 yards rushing and 1,300 yards receiving. I mean, look, MVP conversation, but I don't think it's going to happen. Philadelphia is 5-2. Okay, Tampa, they just lost to the Lions, and that's the question here. Lions 5-2, Seattle 5-2, Rams 5-2. The NFC is deep. I would say yes. I would say Detroit's the best team in the NFC. I think right now, my tier in the NFC would go Detroit, Philadelphia, the Rams, Seattle, Green Bay, Tampa, and then the Niners. That's the order of teams I have in the NFC. Do you agree with that, Brent?
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah, I think Detroit's really good. I like Detroit a lot. Next question, Brent.
what's the biggest need for the Padres this offseason?
I'm going to go outside the box here because there's some obvious answers, right? Pitching. Pitching is a huge need. Power bats. They need some power bats. I think it's a offensive philosophy is their biggest offseason need. Their offensive philosophy needs an upgrade, and it needs an upgrade badly. They had it in 2024, and then for whatever reason, it just disappeared. Like, if this team can go back to the offensive philosophy it had in 2024 and produce like they did in 2024, then that's great. They don't need to go out and get Kyle Schwarber or Pete Alonso or Kyle Tucker. I mean, those players obviously would be a massive help. But the offensive philosophy of this team needs the biggest upgrade. And to me, that's the biggest need this offseason is an offensive philosophy upgrade that's desperately needed.
Better than bunt?
Better than bunt. I swear, dude.
Bunt is life.
But Mike Schilt quit and he's gone. So hopefully there's no more of that crap next year. But I mean, you look at the numbers of the team in 2024 offensively, it's like, whoa, where's this been? And everyone was praising Victor Rodriguez. And then just a year later, it's all Victor Rodriguez's fault. I mean, what happened? What happened between 2024 and 2025 that their offensive philosophy went from one of the best in baseball in 2024 to literally one of the worst in the entire sport just a year later? And you only lost, I mean, was it because you lost Kyle Gashioka and Jerkson Profar? I mean, give me a break. You had all the same guys. You had Victor Rodriguez there still. So the offensive philosophy for this team is the biggest need of upgrade this offseason. I don't think there's one player that's going to just magically take this team over the top. I don't. Because one, if there was, they're not getting that guy because he would cost too much money. So because of that, there's no one player out there that's going to just take this team over the top. It's the mindset. It's the philosophy of this club that needs the biggest upgrade, needs a change. And if they don't get that, and if they don't significantly change their offense next year, oh boy, could be a problem. So I said last hour to get your tinfoil hats ready, right? Put those babies on. Coming up next, we're going to talk about that and why I think a move that just happened could be an interesting one to continue to watch for the future of AJ Preller here in San Diego. That's coming up next on Jon and Jim on San Diego Sports 760 and live on the iHeartRadio app.
Hey guys, it's Schaefer again, and there is no better time than now to get down to your local Toyota dealer with new vehicles arriving daily, including their most popular cars, trucks, and SUVs. We'll get back to the trucks in a moment, but whatever kind of vehicle you're looking for, hurry into your Toyota dealer today because it is Trucktober at your Toyota dealer. The best time to get into a new Toyota truck. They've got the largest inventory of Tacomas and Tundras ready to roll. The Tacoma is known for its legendary toughness, off-road capability, and everyday efficiency, perfect for weekend adventures or just tackling your to-do list. And the Tundra brings serious power, impressive towing capacity, and bold design, plus the latest tech and comfort features. Whether you need a truck that's built for the trails, built for work, or built for your family's next adventure, Toyota's got you covered this Trucktober. We make it easy. See your Toyota dealer today.
San Diego Sports 760 congratulates all our $5,000 winners in iHeartRadio's Thank a Teacher powered by Donors Choose. There's still time for you to nominate a public school teacher making a difference, and maybe they'll be one of our next winners of $5,000 winners to make over their classrooms. Help us say thank you to the educators shaping our future. Nominate your favorite teacher now at iHeartRadio.com/teacher. So the Thunder are getting their championship rings.
Rings in quotations.
They're not rings. I don't even know what to describe it as, because
I said they look like a bracelet. You said they look more like a watch.
they're the size of
They're huge.
your hand.
Even NFL Super Bowl rings have gotten just out of control big late, last 10 years.
Single championship ring has got out of control.
This is huge. It's so big. It's if they would put this on their middle finger, it would cover their whole fist.
Yeah. And if it looks big on an NBA player's hand, imagine it on my hand or your hand. So, yeah, I'm looking at these things right now. What? I mean, these things are ridiculous. They're massive. But hey, I guess to each their own. If you win your first championship in any sport, make your rings as big as you want. Screw it.
Yeah, because you never know. You probably never get one again.
It looks like there's a ring inside the ring. I'm serious. I just saw Alex Caruso take a ring off of the ring. Again, the Thunder, they're corny, right?
It's a little bit, yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
With the commercials and stuff, and their big three can be kind of corny with just their commercials and stuff like that. Yeah.
Can we be normal, guys? Can we not be the weird group?
I don't know if they're weird. They're just kind of Like you said, they're just kind of corny. They're kind of cheesy sometimes with their stuff, but
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess I'd rather have them be a little cheesy and corny than have them be just a bunch of jerks and stuff like that.
I like Shea. He grew on me last year, but he's not the face of a league. Like I don't see Shea as the face of the NBA.
Not yet.
I don't think ever.
He won't be now, but once, in 5 years when KD and LeBron and them aren't here anymore, then it'll be Luka. But then I think he'll still be in the top 5 discussion for it. I think if this makes any sense, I think he'll be the new KD. If that makes sense, he'll get his credit. He might win another MVP, but he's always going to be in the shadow of a Luka or a Joker or somebody else. Kind of like how it didn't matter what KD did, he was always going to be in the shadow of LeBron and Steph.
But KD's a way bigger star than Shea, I think, will ever be.
Now he is, but Shea's still super young. And like I said, I think once some of these older stars go away, the younger ones are gonna they're gonna promote the hell out of him. So I think his star is only gonna get bigger.
Personally, I don't see it.
Because you hate him.
Well, I just don't. I just think that if I'm looking at the face of the NBA, I know he's hurt, but right now it's crazy. In year 23, it's still LeBron.
Oh yeah,
still Steph.
Well, it's gonna be LeBron until LeBron decides he doesn't want to play basketball anymore. But sooner or later, these guys are gonna just hang it up, and then somebody else is gonna have to step up. And who knows if they go back to back? I'm talking about the Thunder. If they go back to back this year and Shea wins back to back MVPs. Then
it's hard. I know it's hard to deny it. I get it.
I did think it was funny. I mentioned during the break that last year when the Celtics were having their ring ceremony, me and John were all sitting here on air kind of making fun of it.
Number 93.
Yeah, about all like these just no name, they're not losers, but all these like no name dudes that no one's ever heard of, with the exception of like three or four Celtics. At least I knew the majority of a lot of these Thunder players, like the dudes that rode behind the Bronny Jameses of the teams that never play. I don't know them, but a lot of the players are like, oh yeah, I remember that guy. It was like, I've at least heard of that guy. It wasn't like last year with the Celtics.
Interesting tidbit on the Celtics. Do you ever wonder why so many Celtics players have just like random ass numbers all the time? It's because there's so many numbers retired
they don't have
by the Celtics. And there's some numbers that are retired that were never even worn by players. Like you have some coaches that have numbers retired. It's very weird. I was watching an interview with Blake Griffin, and he's like, I get to the Celtics and there's like literally no numbers for me. So I had to choose number 91.
The Celtics have retired 24 jersey numbers.
That's crazy. That's so many. And they're all like the good numbers too. And then once Tatum and Brown go, I'm sure those numbers are probably going to get retired.
Well, let's see. The 00 is off the board because of Chief Robert Parrish.
Yep.
Number 1 was Walter Brown.
Yeah, the coach.
Yep,
right?
Yep, and first team owner of the Celtics. 2 was Red Auerbach. 3 was Dennis Johnson. So no 3. 5 was Kevin Garnett. He was barely there, but they retired it. 6, Bill Russell. So nobody can wear 6. Yeah. Nobody can wear 10 because that was JoJo White. 14 is off the table because that was Bob Cousy. Can't wear 15. No 16. 17 was John Havlicek. Dave Collins was 18. Yeah, there's all the 23. Nobody can be 23, 24. So yeah, you don't have a lot of numbers to pick from with the Celtics.
It's like the Yankees a little bit.
Pretty much start at the 40s and go up, because the 30s are all taken because Reggie Lewis, Paul Pierce, Larry Bird, Kevin McHale, those are all numbers in the 30s. All the popular 20 numbers are all gone. So yeah.
Nothing says NBA like or NBA numbers like number 46.
Dude, that's why it's always funny that you remember when Rodman would always do that on purpose. He'd be like, "Hey, what's the highest, most oddball number I can pick? I don't know. You want to be like 97? Sure, I'm going to be 97."
Dude. Hey, what number do you want? I want 56, please. Thanks. Man. All right, coming up next. I said get your tinfoil hats ready. We'll dive into why I am saying get your tinfoil hats ready, because AJ Preller, there's a landing spot for AJ, and a domino may have fallen if AJ does not return to the Padres. We'll talk about that coming up next on Jon and Jim on San Diego Sports 760 and live on the iHeartRadio app.
This report is sponsored by the California Secretary of State. The World Series games 1 and 2 have been announced and are set for Friday and Saturday night at 5 o'clock in Toronto. The Dodgers are heavy favorites to defeat the Blue Jays in the series. In other baseball news, the Angels hired Kurt Suzuki today to be their new manager. Suzuki spent 16 years playing for 5 clubs and won the 2019 World Series with the Nationals. He has spent the past 3 years as a special assistant to the Angels general manager. And the NBA season tips off tonight with a doubleheader. In about 5 minutes or so, the Rockets are going to take on the defending champion Thunder, and then the Warriors take on Luka and the Lakers. You can hear pregame coverage starting right here at 6:45 on your home for Lakers basketball in San Diego Sports 760. In California, voting is easy. Drop your ballot in a secure drop box, vote early in person, or mail it. Don't delay. Vote today. Get more information at sos.ca.gov. A message from the California Secretary of State.
All right, back here on Jon and Jim. So put your tinfoil cap on, everybody. Francis Romero. He is a baseball insider, and he's gotten a lot of stuff right. So, like, if you haven't heard of Francis Romero, that's fine, but I'm telling you, this guy's legit. He reported earlier this morning. Source: the Rockies have hired scout Alvin Duran as their new Latin American supervisor and assistant to the director. He said, one of the most hardworking and talented young scouts in the industry. Like, Jim, who's that? Who's that? Why do I need my tinfoil hat for that? Well, because he was the one that successfully completed his stint with the San Diego Padres as their Dominican Republic coordinator. He also played a very, very important role in key signings such as Leo DeVries, Emmanuel Clase, and Ethan Salas. Who needs a president of baseball operation and a general manager in baseball? That would be the Colorado Rockies. I don't know. The likelihood of it happening, probably very slim. But it's interesting, nonetheless, that this guy, Alvin Duran, who played a key role in signing Leo DeVries, Emmanuel Clase, and Ethan Salas, happens to go to the Rockies. And the Rockies are looking for a president of baseball operations. And there's kind of turmoil here in San Diego with AJ Preller in the front office because Eric Grubner reportedly can't get out of his own way. Interesting. I don't know. My tinfoil hat's on and I'm looking at that and I'm like, okay. I have to keep my eye on that now, right? I got to keep my eye on that. That the Rockies took one of AJ Preller's prize scouts and hired him to be a director, their coordinator. Okay. Now, do I think AJ Preller right now, the reason why we haven't seen a contract extension with him in the Padres is because he's trying to get his way to Colorado, to the Rockies? I don't. But it's interesting nonetheless. Because you think the Rockies would like AJ Preller as their head of baseball operations? Absolutely. And you know, we talked about AJ Preller and his, maybe he wants to start fresh. Maybe he wants to go somewhere else. Maybe he looks at the landscape with the Padres and he's like, my manager just quit. I have to report to freaking Eric Grubner. John Seiler knows nothing. Like, I just want to go. Maybe he says that. Or maybe he says, I got unfinished business here. I can work in these new parameters that you're setting for me. I'm okay that I have to report to Eric Grubner now. I know things have changed, but I really want to be here and I want to stay here for a long time. So let's get something done. I don't think it's that with AJ. I think it's somewhere in the middle. I think the extreme is what I said to start with, like AJ saying, I want out. I hate these guys. I can't deal with this anymore. I have to report to Eric Grubner. Guys, I hate the guy. And I don't think it's close. I don't think it's, I'll just adapt. I'll work with whatever they tell me to do. I think it's somewhere in the middle there. And because I think it's somewhere in the middle, that means there should be a contract extension that takes place here soon. Because if you let AJ Preller walk, or if you give AJ Preller permission to speak to the Colorado Rockies for their vacant president of baseball operations position. Yo, he's gone. Right? How could you let someone talk to somebody and then they return? I mean, it's happened before, but rarely does it happen. So I think that if AJ Preller doesn't get this contract extension soon, I'm worrying a little bit. Like I'm kind of worrying just a tad bit here that something could happen. Because like I said, it's October 21st. All right. The season ended on October 2nd. And AJ Preller still has not gotten a contract extension. I think it took all of like a week last year before they announced that Mike Schilt got a contract extension. And they gave Eric Grubner this silent contract extension that they didn't tell anybody about. And the only person they did give a contract extension to was AJ. Interesting. And y'all think it's just like kumbaya down there? It's not. And if you got scouts that, played significant roles in finding players like Leo DeVries and Ethan Salas with the Padres now leaving and going to the one place that needs a president of baseball operation, my tinfoil hat is on, is what I'm saying. My tinfoil hat is on, and I'm just thinking out loud here, and I'm wondering out loud, why would they do that? Why is that happening? Maybe it's nothing. I don't know. Maybe it's absolutely nothing. Maybe I'm just talking myself in circles here. And I put on this tinfoil hat for nothing. But I think it's interesting to discuss and talk about. I mean, you got to talk about everything until we find out the future of AJ. Like we don't know the future of AJ, so we're going to speculate until we know what's going to happen with the president of baseball operations here. And I've gotten a lot of people on social media tell me like they just want AJ gone. Let me remind you, I wanted AJ gone a couple years ago. I thought after the 2021 season, it was time to go. Like you've gone through multiple managers now. All right. You haven't put together a winning season yet in a full 162 game season. There's turmoil. It's just dysfunction it's time to go. And then after the 2021 season, AJ Preller has been fantastic. Other than keeping managers here, right? Other than that, he's put together a winning team for 4 straight seasons. I know the 2023 team, it's hard to say that was a winning team, but technically they won 82 games. They won 82 and 80. So you had 89 wins in 2022, 82 wins in 2023, 93 wins in 2024, and then 90 wins in 2025. Nah, it's time to fire that guy. Okay. Right when he just figured it out and turned around his career, now you want to let the guy go and you want to fire the guy? If anything, it's like he's finally figured it out. You don't let those guys go. The guys that finally figured it out and have shown the last 4 seasons they put together winning baseball teams, you work with that guy and you keep that guy here for as long as possible. Until the wheels do truly fall off. Then you change everything and you fire everybody and you start anew.
I don't know if it'd be a good idea to let him go to, they're not a division rival, but to go to a team within the division. That wouldn't come back to bite him in the ass in the future, would it?
No, of course not. Going to the Colorado Rockies? No, of course it wouldn't. It wouldn't bite. It wouldn't. No, absolutely not. And I see in the chat here on YouTube from this hip clip guy. Who is this guy? He's faking it. Like he's pretending to be someone he's not.
He's a Cardinals fan.
Right. What's his name, Brent? I forget this guy's name, but he's faking who he is. He said, wow, what an AJ apologist. Yikes. So I'm an AJ apologist because I said that I would have fired AJ in 2021, But because of what he built in 2022 through now, I've changed my tune on him. Yeah, I'm an apologist. It's like, opinions can change, guys. If I say that, I don't like Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, and all of a sudden next year I'm like, you know what? Actually, I really like Shea. Am I now a Shea apologist? Or did my opinion just change? Yeah, that's what happens here. I can say something, and then my opinion can change on it. It's not being called an apologist.
I don't know. I think there's going to be a lot of like the AJ haters that when he leaves, they're going to, it's going to be the grass isn't always greener on the other side scenario of, you guys are kind of spoiled when it comes to every trade deadline. There's some sort of movement. You want to trade GMs with the Cubs to where we have no movement most of the time at the trade deadline and we do nothing. We don't get to talk about all these big moves that we make because we barely ever make any moves. At least AJ is aggressive. He's always making moves. He's always doing things to try to improve the team. You could get stuck with the next GM that just sits around and does absolutely nothing.
Yeah. And I see in the chat as well. It's like, well, he's gone backwards, Jim. Made the NLCS in 22, the DS in 24, and didn't get past the wild card round in 25. Okay. We've talked about this before, guys. The general manager's job, yes, is to build a World Series contender. Have they not been a World Series contender 3 of the last 4 years? Yeah, they have. It's one thing if this team did make the postseason, then that's on the general manager. When the team makes the postseason and they don't win, that's on the players. Okay? That's on the players. And yes, if AJ gets better players, then maybe they do win. You're right. But was it AJ's fault that Ramon Laureano broke his finger? Was it AJ's fault that Jason Adam had his quad blow up? No. Is it AJ's fault that Manny Machado can't hit in the postseason? Is it AJ's fault that Fernando Tatis Jr. forgot how to hit the baseball in the postseason as well? Was it AJ's fault that Luis Ariz had an awful season? Was it AJ's fault that Michael King slept wrong this year? Come on, guys. The general manager, yes, it's his job to build World Series contenders. And then once they get to the postseason, it's up to the players to go out there and perform. So if AJ is now building consistent postseason contenders and World Series contenders, and this team's make the postseason, I don't know. But I'm telling you, if you want AJ gone, you better be prepared for what's on the other side because it's not pretty. I'm telling you that right away. I'm telling you. It probably in for a rude awakening without AJ Preller here. So the NBA season is underway, and I hate the score bug, Brent. I absolutely hate it. Oh my God, that thing is awful. That is disgusting. Dude, that's so bad. That's so bad.
It's not that bad.
That's awful, Brent.
If anything, it's boring. It's not, disgusting. It's basic.
What we just talked about. Hey, bring back the nostalgia NBA on NBC. Give me the old school, bottom right corner, yellow, black with the peacock logo. Nah. So we'll keep you updated on that. Also, coming up next, your opportunity to win some tickets. You want to do that right now, Brent? Okay. So right now, 877-767-4760. Caller number 6. You have won a pair of tickets to Hallow Scream at SeaWorld San Diego. Call number 6, 877-767-4760. 877-767-4760. Caller number 6. You've won tickets to Hallow Scream at SeaWorld of San Diego. Be caller 6. You win tickets. More Jon and Jim coming up next. All right, back here in Jon and Jim. We haven't really talked about it yet because it's only Tuesday, but might as well start. Pretty big game this Saturday for the Aztecs. San Diego State 5-1 on the year. Fresno State, I think they're 4-2 on the season. It's going to be an afternoon game on the road. I think it's going to be a blackout at 12:30 in the afternoon. But, San Diego State's already getting AP top 25 votes. And what they did against Nevada, for me, I'm like, all right, I'm in. I'm on the bandwagon. Like, I'm on. Now, if they go to Fresno and they beat Fresno, I mean, it's on, Brent. Like, this, we are going to have legitimate conversations, not only about the Mountain West Conference regular season championship, which is firmly in play already, but could they pull off a potential bid to the college football playoff? It's too soon for that. I think it's still too soon, but at the same time, don't let that conversation distract you from the fact that still this is a good football team. I think I think it's pretty fair to say right now they are a good football team. We'll see how good they can be, but at this moment in time, they're a good football team, and I'm loving what I'm seeing from year 2 Sean Lewis. I was pretty critical of Sean after year 1. Like, hey, that was not good. Year 1 was not good. And I think year 2 is going to be really important for Sean. Because if you get out of year 2 and we're still seeing the same things as we saw in year 1, no one's going to have confidence. Even if you were to turn things around later in your tenure, it's just not. You need, especially with where this Aztec program is right now, you needed something to happen quickly. Now, I'm sure everyone would have preferred it to happen last year, but still, in year 2, it's a pretty quick turnaround from where they were, 3-9 or 3-8 last year to, you're 1 win away from bowl eligibility. You're 5-1 on the year. You're getting AP top 25 votes right now already. People are talking about you as a dark horse for the college football playoff. You're firmly in the mix to win the Mountain West Conference championship. Like, that is such an impressive turnaround for this program and Sean Lewis in year 2.
Well, anybody that thought he was going to do it in year 1 was just, semi-delusional, because, you might be able to do that if you're, going to a program like, Notre Dame or Florida State or something like that. Where you could do it in a year because they're big enough names that you're going to be able to just get recruits and transfer portal stuff. But, it's going to take time. Yes. But the improvement they've shown from last year to this year is just night and day. Last year they had so many points, whether it's touchdowns or field goals taken off the board just due to like stupid holding penalties, and just, illegal man downfield was a popular one they kept getting nailed for last year. Lots that took points off the board. So many penalties last year on the offensive line too. And that's been cut out for the most part. And, I give Sean Lewis lots of credit for sticking with his guns to where, I have been comparing him to Luke Fickell at Wisconsin, who everybody wants out. They both came in to the programs and preached similar things, that we're going to run a more up-tempo offense. We're going to throw the football more. We're not just going to be, handoff, and then punt and just run the football. The only difference between Luke Fickell and Sean Lewis is Sean Lewis stuck to his guns and practiced what he preached. He kept it didn't work last year, but they kept working on it because they're not going to get better at it by just abandoning what their philosophy is. Luke Fickell, on the other hand, at Wisconsin, he didn't do any of that. He said that he was going to do all this up-tempo offense, and then he just ran the exact same offense that Paul Chryst, the guy they fired, ran. So at least Sean Lewis is preaching one thing, but he's backing it up. He's not saying one thing and then just doing another thing. And then when it's time, when it's not working, you go, oh, well, I'm just not even implementing my system yet. Well, why not?
Yeah, I agree with all that. I think for Sean Lewis to continue to preach, his vision and what he wanted, and to not, get derailed by anything else, I think it's a testament to him so far. I mean, this thing is not obviously a finished product. I mean, we're only 6 games through the year. I mean, this thing could go sideways quick, right? So you have to continue to get better as a program, as a team, but they're doing all the right things. Like that's what the important thing is here, is they're doing all the right things and they're getting the results. And there's nothing more gratifying and rewarding than getting the results after you've done all the right things and you've taken the right steps and you've preached what you've preached, and then all, you're rewarded with what you've seen on the field right now through 6 games of the year. The Washington State game withstanding, take away that game, and I know the NIU game, it was not pretty, but defensively, they've allowed 73 points this year? That's ridiculous.
They're trending up. Going into the Nevada game, the big question was, they're kind of questionable on the road, because everyone was kind of worried that the Northern Illinois game wasn't just going to be kind of a fluke one-off. They were kind of worried it was going to be the constant on the road. And, then they went and put up 44, and that Nevada game was over by halftime. And, I told Fletch, I was like, I can't even remember the last time, we were up 35 zip or whatever it was at halftime.
It was incredible. It was ridiculous. I mean, I remember that you turn the game on, they're already up 14-0. And it was like, wait, what? It was crazy. So if they can go and beat Fresno State come Saturday afternoon, the bandwagon's going to start to fill up. So you might want to jump on it now.
3-point favorites, by the way.
Aztecs?
Yes.
All right. They're coming off a bye. So now Fresno State's also coming off a bye. We'll obviously talk more about that game later in the week. But I'm just so impressed with what San Diego State has done so far to this point. All right. Coming up, final hour of the show. Stay right here on Jon and Jim on San Diego Sports 760 and live on the iHeartRadio app.
This report is sponsored by Starbucks. World Series games 1 and 2 between the Dodgers and Blue Jays are all set for Friday and Saturday night at 5:00 from Toronto. The Dodgers are the overwhelming favorites to win the series. In other baseball news, the Angels hired Kurt Suzuki today to be their new manager. Suzuki, who's 42, spent 16 years playing for 5 different clubs and won the 2019 World Series with the Nationals. He's spent the past 3 years as a special assistant to the Angels general manager. And the NBA season tips off tonight with a doubleheader right now with about 5 minutes to go in the first quarter. Or first period, I should say. The Rockets lead the Thunder 21-18. Then after that game, the Warriors take on Luka and the Lakers. You can hear pregame coverage starting right here at 6:45 on your home for Lakers basketball in San Diego Sports 760. The pumpkin spice latte is back at Starbucks, handcrafted with their signature espresso and real pumpkin sauce, then topped with whipped cream, cinnamon, and nutmeg. PSL, get it while it's hot or iced, only at Starbucks.
Questions abound for the Padres.
Pujols is the new manager, and who makes the hire?
What do you think?
The Aztecs head out to Fresno this weekend. Is Aztec Fast finally taking hold with the Scarlet and Black? The NBA season tips off tonight with Lakers versus Warriors right here on San Diego Sports 760. Plus, we have a World Series matchup. Do they sell poutine at Dodger Stadium? Fries, cheese, and gravy. How can you go wrong?
Yummy.
We talk about it all from the San Diego Sports 760 studios with Jon and Jim.
All right, 4 a.m. final hour of Jon and Jim. The NBA is underway. The Thunder lead the Rockets 23-21 with 4 minutes left in the first quarter there. Lakers Warriors tonight, 7 p.m. tip-off. You can listen to that game right here on San Diego Sports 760. The World Series is set. Going to start on Friday night in Toronto. Blue Jays, Dodgers, college football this weekend. We had an NFL doubleheader last night. All the sports are happening. All the sports. Which is once again why October is the best sports month on the calendar. I mean, it's just my point is being proven right in front of everyone's eyes. I mean, it's just like a sports overload. Last night, Brent, I was getting ready for bed and I'm like, why is this Seahawks Texans game still on?
Because they started late.
I know, but it didn't like register in my head. I'm like, it's 10:45 and there's like 4 minutes left to go in the fourth quarter. I was like, what's happening right here?
Well, that's what we wanted because, we didn't want them to overlap the Monday night doubleheaders. So
how about we just have like, I don't know, one Monday night football game? Nah, we have to have 2.
No, because it's part of ESPN's deal.
Yeah,
That new contract just guaranteed them X amount of games, and the only way they can squeeze them in is by doing these double headers.
Like, I don't want to hear Chris Fowler and whoever else is on the broadcast. Who they have on? I think Dan Orlovsky and
I can't stand Orlovsky.
Someone else, I forget. But I'm like, I want to hear Joe Buck and Troy Aikman. Chris Fowler, not so much. But anyway, all the sports are happening. And the World Series is set. We all know what's going to happen. It's like one of those things where we look up the spoilers for a movie before we see the movie. And then we go watch the movie, hoping that the spoilers weren't true, but they're actually true. And it's like, oh, dang it. And you're not surprised by anything. Like if I went back and I told you that Tony Stark dies in Avengers Endgame, spoiler alert. And you're like, that doesn't happen. And then you go watch the movie and it happens. You're like, what the hell? Now it's a little different because we didn't know that Tony Stark was going to die in Avengers Endgame. But we know, and we knew that like the Avengers were going to win. We know that the Dodgers are going to win the World Series. I just don't see a world where they don't.
In a world.
I don't see with Otani, Yamamoto, Glasnow, and Snell. I don't see the Blue Jays beating that 4 4 times in a 7-game series.
The only thing I can hope for is baseball. You can go cold really quick and with no like lead up to it. Look at Milwaukee. Milwaukee just, they have the best record in baseball, and then they just go ice cold. They could barely score against the Cubs, and then they can't score it.
That's
all
Milwaukee,
against
though.
the Dodgers. Yeah, I know, but I'm still saying that it can happen to anybody, is my point.
It could.
That, there's nothing to say that all of a sudden the Dodgers bats can't go cold. And, if the Blue Jays score runs like they did in that Yankees series, I think that they might be able to take, go 7 games.
Well, the Yankees pitching is not the Dodgers pitching, is what I'm trying to say. And, Blake Snell is rolling right now. Yoshinobu Yamamoto's had a fantastic year. Tyler Glasnow has been great. And, oh, by the way, Shohei Otani, he's just getting better and better as a pitcher as the season goes on here.
Yeah, but the Blue Jays also aren't the Brewers lineup. We always talk about how the Padres don't have anybody in their lineup that would, quote, scare you. The Brewers didn't have anybody in their lineup that would scare you either. But, the Blue Jays do.
They do.
I'd be pretty scared of Vlad Guerrero Jr. And
I would be terrified of Vladimir Guerrero Jr.
So, yeah. So, I don't know. I still feel like the Dodgers will win, but I don't think it's as cut and dry as what everyone is just like, if they're going to win, it's a sweep. Not even watch. I think it's going to be more competitive than what everyone thinks.
Now, the Blue Jays do have home field here in the series. Look, I don't know how much of a factor that's going to play, but it's something, right? It's something. And we'll talk more about the series later in the week. I just think off first glance, it's hard for me to envision the Dodgers not winning the World Series.
Yeah.
But, last night, going back to Game 7, if you know a Mariners fan today, just
wellness check.
Just give them a hug. Just give them a hug. You don't have to say anything. You don't have to ask them how you're doing. You don't have to try to talk about the game. You don't even have to talk about anything. Just, if you know a Mariners fan, all you got to do is just give them a hug. And if you know a Mariners fan and you're not able to give that person a hug, just send them a text. Be like, I'm thinking of you. That's all you got to do. That is one of the most brutal losses I've seen in a while for a franchise that was as close as they were to reaching their first World Series in team history. If you're a Mariners fan, you're never getting over that. Never. And forever, until they make a World Series or they win a World Series, Mariners fans will be questioning Dan Wilson's decision forever. Forever. That is going to live with Dan Wilson and maybe haunt him for the rest of his life if he does not reach a World Series or win a World Series. It will haunt him. And even if he does reach a World Series, the decision last night to not go to their all-star closer, the top of the lineup coming up in the 7th inning with 2 on and 1 out, will haunt him forever. As it should. It was a stupid decision. It was dumb. It was idiotic. I hate when managers in the postseason tell you, well, we've been doing that all year long. It's not Tuesday in July. It's Game freaking 7. Has Munoz, their closer, who has been a stud for them all year long, didn't allow a hit until he came in the game last night, and he has not allowed a run in the postseason. Barely's even pitched, by the way. We're saving him for the 9th, or maybe 5 outs, for the 8th. What? Instead, you're going to use a guy that's pitched every single game for you in the postseason?
In a way, doesn't it kind of give you flashbacks to the Padres Phillies?
Yes, I was going to go there. It brought me back to. Now, I think This was a little more extreme because it was the 7th inning, but still, I'm going Munoz there every day of the week. In the Padres Philly series, it was the 8th inning. So that pissed me off even more. Oh, we've used Robert Suarez that's where he's been all year long. Now there was things at play there that at the time we didn't fully know about. We had speculation. And what it was Josh Hader was not going to pitch more than 3 outs. Excuse me. He was not going 5 outs. And that was a Josh Hader thing. He was more about himself than the team. F Josh Hader. Bum. But yeah, it did bring me back. It brought me back to that moment where I'm like, desperate times call for desperate measures. And if you're a manager in baseball, in the biggest moment of your season, and you're relying or falling back on, well, we've done it like this the whole entire season, you're going to lose. And you should lose. Like, are you serious? If you get beat, if Andres Munoz goes out there, right, and he gives up the same exact result to George Springer, 3-run homer. Yeah, it's going to suck, and it's going to be the worst feeling ever if you're a Mariners fan today. But you take out the what if. Now there might be what if. Oh, you should have kept in Brian Wu. Okay. But you had your all-star closer in there that hasn't given up a hit all postseason long. I just think Dan Wilson completely fumbled that situation last night. And if I was a Mariners fan, I would be absolutely furious. Furious. The best chance you've ever had as a franchise to make the World Series, and you have this guy named, what's his name? Anthony Bizzardo or whatever, Bizzardo out there instead of your all-star closer in the most crucial moment of your game. I think John Smoltz even said on the broadcast, like, hey, sometimes the save isn't always in the 9th inning. You think? These managers, they don't understand that. I at least give Mike Schilt credit that in game 3 against the Cubs, he had Robert Suarez out there in like the 6th inning. I give him credit for that. Now, Robert Suarez didn't do his job because he gave up a run, but at least the thought process I agreed with. Hey, I'm putting my closer in this situation versus this part of the order because I got to keep it 2-1. Didn't work out, but I'm not faulting him for that. I think I'm faulting the offense more than anything, but still. That moment last night will haunt Dan Wilson forever. And Mariners fans, I am so sorry. Because that now becomes the most heartbreaking moment that you'll ever experience in your life as a sports fan if you're a Mariners fan. Nothing can help and nothing will ease the pain of last night being 8 outs away from the World Series and your manager just decides that I'm going to put in this guy instead of our closer in game 7 because this is what we've done all year long. Wow. Idiotic. Dan Wilson, bro. Brutal. All right, coming up later this hour, if you missed our conversation with Alan Sliwa, we're going to bring that back for you at the bottom of the hour. So stay with us right here on Jon and Jim on San Diego Sports 760 and live on the iHeartRadio app. All right, back here on Jon and Jim. So when Mike Schilt quit last Monday, so Tuesday, Wednesday, so it's been 7 days. It's been a week, about 8 days, I guess. So we are in day 8 of Padres Managerial Watch 2025, and we have one name, or I guess we have 2 names on the list for the Padres' next manager, which is Albert Pujols and Ruben Niebla. And today we got 2 more names, one of which will or has interviewed with the Padres. Another is someone throwing their hat in the ring of I want to be the manager. And those 2 names, Brian Esposito, Padres bench coach for the last 2 seasons, and Carlos Hernandez. He's now on the Spanish broadcast team for the Padres. He was on the 98 team. You remember the name. You remember Carlos Hernandez, fan favorite. Do those names do anything for you out there? I mean, I think it would be kind of hilarious if they hired Carlos Hernandez, because they would have effectively hired a broadcaster to be their next manager. Not saying Carlos Hernandez would be a bad manager. I just think it would be funny that you would say, well, Padres have hired their Spanish announcer, Carlos Hernandez, to be their manager. That would be insane to me. Like, what? Brian Esposito, that would literally do nothing for me. It would be just like, okay. I mean, it would like be eating tofu. It would be like blah. Albert Pujols, he's the guy I want. Ruben Niebla, it would do something for me. I'd be okay with Ruben Niebla, because at least I know that the pitching staff's in good hands going forward. It wouldn't be like uber exciting, but Ruben Niebla has been a pretty key contributor to this pitching staff the last 4 seasons. I mean, if y'all remember, after they fired Jace Tingler and that whole disaster with their coaching staff, that coaching staff was a disaster, by the way. Before they hired Bob Melvin, they hired Ruben Niebla. Ruben Niebla was the first person that AJ Preller hired after the disaster of Jace Tingler. So does that kind of tell you that maybe they want Ruben Niebla, or he has a good shot at being manager here? If you go all the way back to 2022 and remember that Ruben Niebla was the first person that was hired after the Jace Tingler fiasco, and then Bob Melvin was hired. Interesting. But Brian Esposito, Carlos Hernandez, put those names on the list. So I got 4. There might be others, but Ruben Niebla, Albert Pujols, Carlos Hernandez, even though there's no report of him interviewing for the job, he just wants the job, and Brian Esposito. Okay. Albert Pujols, to me, he's the guy. I'm waiting to see kind of that, like, oh, that's an interesting name other than Albert Pujols. I'm sure there'll be more names tomorrow, and I'm sure there'll be more names come Thursday and more names come Friday and Saturday, Sunday. And who the hell knows when AJ Preller is going to hire a manager, or if AJ Preller is going to hire the manager, or if AJ Preller is going to even be here, or if he's going to get a contract extension. So now we just wait. We're in day 8 of Manager Watch 2025.
We had a quick drive-by caller that said, do you remember Jerry Coleman came from the broadcast booth? So there has been one exception to the rule.
You are correct, but this also is 2025.
That's correct.
When did Jerry Coleman manage? A long time ago, right?
Yeah.
I'm looking it up right now because I got to get this right. When did he manage? It wasn't like in the 2000s. It wasn't in the 1990s. Was it in the 70s, the 80s, 60s? Yeah, that's not, guys. I like Carlos Hernandez. Obviously, he brings the nostalgia factor there. But no, not happening. All right. Did you find it, Brent? No. Okay. 40 years ago, 1979. This is 2025, not 1979. That's what I was waiting to say. All right, coming up next.
Yeah, maybe they're due,
Oh, yeah.
Just like Rob Parker said, just because Shohei did something that hasn't been done since Babe Ruth, maybe this will be the same thing.
Biggest clown in the media game, Rob Parker. All right, coming up next, Alan Sliwa. He joined us earlier in the show to talk about the NBA season getting underway tonight and the Lakers taking on the Warriors, which you can hear right here on San Diego Sports 760. You're going to hear our conversation with Alan coming up next on Jon and Jim on San Diego Sports 760 and live on the iHeartRadio app.
The sport is sponsored by Anderson Plumbing, Heating, and Air. World Series games 1 and 2 between the Dodgers and Blue Jays are all set for Friday and Saturday night at 5 o'clock in Toronto. the Dodgers are heavy favorites to win the series. In other baseball news, the Angels have hired Kurt Suzuki today to be their new manager. Suzuki spent 16 years playing for 5 different clubs and won the World Series with the Nationals in 2019. He spent the past 3 years as a special assistant to the Angels general manager. And the NBA season is tipping off tonight with a doubleheader. Right now, with about 6.5 minutes to go in the second period, it's the Rockets up over the Thunder 45-42. Later on tonight, the Warriors take on Luka and the Lakers. You can hear pregame coverage beginning right here at 6:45 on your home for Lakers basketball in San Diego Sports 760. Need HVAC this month? Get 0% for 18 months on a new system. Schedule your free proposal at AndersonPHA.com. Anderson, fast, reliable, wow.
All right, so Lakers Warriors tonight, 7 p.m. tip-off time in LA. You can listen to that game right here on San Diego Sports 760. 6:45 is when our pregame coverage starts. And Alan Sliwa, Hoops Talk, the Sliwa Show on YouTube, covers the Lakers, has a Lakers postgame show after every game. Check it out on YouTube as well. He joined us earlier in the show, but he is a diehard Padres fan, so of course we had to start with all the Padres drama and his thoughts on the managerial search right now for the Padres.
Well, first, appreciate you having me on, Jim. Okay, so I don't really, I'll tell you this, there's a certain mold that I'm hoping for, but I don't know if I could apply a name to it. I know the hot name right now is Albert Pujols, or at least the idea and the concept that they are going to interview him. I'll tell you that I'm still, Mike Schilt leaving the way he did is still shocking to me, and the fact that we're having this conversation is kind of crazy. But if we try to find a silver lining, is there a manager that can come in that has the respect of the players? And I think just as important, is there a manager that can come in and demand the best out of players and be open to criticizing them in whatever fashion, that's done, and whatever way to motivate them to be better, obviously on the field. I don't know if it's supposed to be Albert Pujols. I don't know if it's supposed to be Ruben Niebla, but I'd like somebody with experience. I'd like to think that the Padres are in a window right now where they're still thinking, we got to compete again to make the playoffs. Anything can happen once you get in. And somebody with no experience at all as being a manager in Major League Baseball, that worries me a little bit. But I know you never know in baseball. What can you possibly get out of these players? Because there's a lot of players on this roster that underperformed in critical moments. Can that manager help? I don't have that answer for you.
Yeah, I don't think anybody has the answer for anybody, because right now, whoever they hire, if it is a first-time guy, like, nobody knows. And even if they do bring in somebody with experience, nobody knows there either. So
Sure.
It's kind of a crapshoot. Like, it's one of those things where whoever they hire, you hope for the best and you hope they stay here for longer than 2 years, because right now the pattern with this franchise is managers around here, they have a shelf life of 2 seasons, and that is it. So Padres looking for a new manager, Lakers looking for, another trip back to the NBA Finals. They're starting the season without LeBron for about a month or so. Don't know the exact timetable on that, but tonight they tip off against the Warriors. Luka, full season of Luka for the Lakers. For you, Alan, heading into this season, what's the biggest storyline with the Lakers?
I don't think it's going to be Luka, because I feel like I already know what Luka's going to bring to the table. I already know Luka's probably going to be 38 and 8 a night, and I think you could just kind of put that to the side. The role players, guys like DeAndre Ayton and Marcus Smart, they're going to be big stories. I think they will have their moments where they're critical, and they'll have their moments where maybe they're playing well, maybe they're struggling. I think for me, there's 2 players that I have in mind. I think trying to figure out what LeBron is in his 23rd season in the NBA is interesting. It is fascinating. And this is the first time he's not going to be there for an opener, let alone probably not come back till mid-November. Is LeBron going to see this steep decline like we've expected for the last 4 years and been wrong? Or is he just going to kind of continue? Yeah, here's another 24, 6-6. So I think the LeBron piece of this is interesting. I think the way the summer went with LeBron, a little extra noise. The fact that the Lakers didn't offer, at least it didn't seem like they offered, a contract extension. He didn't get another 1+1. This will be the final year of his contract. I do think that's kind of how can that not be the biggest thing that's you're watching as the season progresses? The other player I will just say, Austin Reeves is, I do my show every morning, obviously on YouTube. And I will tell you that if there's one player that is getting so much heat before anything even started, it's Austin Reeves. There is the megaphone that's out of saying he's not worth X amount of dollars next year. Trade him now. Him and Luka aren't going to work. So I think that's going to be fascinating too, to see how Austin Reeves and Luka play together and if that's a winning recipe or not.
Alan Sliwa of Hoops Talk and the Sliwa Show on YouTube joining me here on Jon and Jim. Yeah, without LeBron right now, obviously this is, Luka's time to shine. And when you look at the team as it's constructed, even with LeBron, defensively, how do you think this Lakers team can stack up here? Because, DeAndre Ayton and Luka, those are two guys that are kind of known for not being defensive players in their own right. So looking at this team right now, I feel like defensively is a kind of a big question mark. Do you agree?
Yeah, I think you and I can get a bucket on Luka and Austin Reeves.
Yeah,
we go a little 2-on-2. I think we can get some buckets in. It's clearly a problem, and I think here's what I will say. I will say that last year the team had a lot of deficiencies once they traded Anthony Davis and Luka came aboard. Don't forget Max Christie was traded too.
Yeah,
and they still kind of found a way to piece things together. Here's what I think it's going to come down to. Is DeAndre Ayton a serviceable center that can hold his own? Doesn't have to be a top 10 center in the NBA, but can he hold his own? Can Jared Vanderbilt, who's a phenomenal defender, can he stay healthy during the season? And can he also not be such a liability on offense that teams are able to kind of play him off of the court? And Marcus Smart doesn't have to be exactly what he was with the Boston Celtics, but can he be 75% of what he was with the Boston Celtics? I say that because there are players on this roster now that weren't there last season that I do think have some upside on the defensive side, but it's going to have to be done collectively. I think it's a major question mark. And, I say this all the time. If the strategy is, well, we'll just put up 125 points, I don't think that's going to be a winning strategy in the Western Conference, and that's only going to take you so far.
What do you see happening in the Western Conference? Like, how do you see it shaping out? Do you still have OKC as the clear-cut, far and away favorite here, or is there a team out there in the West that you think could compete with them?
I think they're the favorite, but I think they can be beat. Like, I don't forget last season in the playoffs. Give them all the credit in the world. It's the first time they've ever won an NBA championship. Tonight they'll get the banner, they'll get the rings. They deserve all of that. They did go 7 against Denver. They did go 7 against the Indiana Pacers. It's not like maybe their record represented that they were unbeatable, but watching a lot of games, I watched towards the final couple regular season games of the year. I watched the Lakers go to OKC and blow them out. And then I watched them play again 2 nights later, and it was a tie game until Luka got a second technical foul and was thrown out of the game. I guess the point that I'm trying to make is I think they'll be better this year. I think they'll have more continuity, chemistry, and confidence. But I still think there are teams out there that can give them a run to their money. And I don't think if there's a team out there that's got the experience and everything else that also feels like they got the best player in the world, for me, it would be Denver. That would be the biggest threat to them in the West.
Alan Sliwa joining me here on Jon and Jim. Of course, Lakers Warriors tonight at 7 p.m. in Los Angeles. You can hear that game right here on San Diego Sports 760. So looking at the Eastern Conference here, no Jason Tatum for the year. No Tyrese Halliburton for the year. It kind of feels like the East is wide open. And for me, I have the Cavs, but other than that, I'm like, maybe the Hawks are a surprise team. How do you see the East looking this year?
It's got to be Cavs and the Knicks in the Eastern Conference Finals. For both of those franchises, if they're not both in the Eastern Conference Finals, with one series win away of getting to the NBA Finals, then maybe it's just not meant to be for both of those franchises. Maybe they are going to have to rebuild because it's never going to be more open, like you mentioned. And it doesn't mean other teams can't make some noise, like the Orlando Magic or the Atlanta Hawks or Giannis, obviously, and the Milwaukee Bucks. They're always going to be in the mix, but it's never going to look like this again. Eventually, Tatum is going to come back. Eventually, other teams in the Eastern Conference will just get better. So you got two really good teams with a lot of phenomenal performers in the Knicks and in the Cavs, but you also got two teams that once the Knicks got past Boston, you thought that was a free reign to the NBA Finals. We saw what they did. The Cavs, I don't think they've been past the second round with that iteration of their team. So it's got to be that one of those two teams that are representing the East. If it's not, then maybe those two franchises got to look in a different direction.
All right, so Lakers Warriors tonight, 7 p.m. in LA. You have a post-game show on YouTube, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right, so you can check out Alan after the Lakers Warriors game tonight on his YouTube channel. Enjoy the game tonight, Alan, and we'll talk to you down the road. All right, man?
All right, Jim. Thanks, brother.
All right, there's Alan Slewa there. Of course, Lakers and Warriors tonight, 7 p.m., 6:45 is when our pregame coverage starts there. We're almost at the half of the opener between the Rockets and the Thunder. And from all accounts, the NBC broadcast has been an absolute home run so far, which, I mean, it has to be. They paid how many billions of dollars for this thing? For the rights back. It's been 23 years since the NBA was on NBC. And right now, the Rockets are leading the Thunder 53-45 with 1:30 left in the first half. I said the Rockets are going to be good. I think the loss of Fred VanVleet really is going to hurt them, but I still think they're going to be really good. If they had Fred VanVleet, I would have picked them to win the NBA title. But without Fred VanVleet, I think it's going to be tough. But still, they're one of the better teams in the Western Conference and in the NBA as well. All right, so coming up next, we'll wrap up the show with my back page. Stay with us right here on Jon and Jim on San Diego Sports 760 and live on the iHeartRadio app. Hey guys, it's Jim from Jon and Jim for the all-new Humboldt Casino Resort, the Players Place. The next level of luxury has finally arrived. You can treat yourself to a stunning new stay, rooftop relaxation, indulgent spa treatments, and all the thrills of Humboldt Casino Resort. Now all in one unforgettable destination. You can unwind in style, experience pure relaxation with indulgent treatments, serene spaces, and a retreat designed to refresh your body and mind. Only at Humboldt Casino Resort. You can learn more and book a treatment today at HumboldtCasino.com Also, you can savor San Diego's ultimate endless dining experience at Hamul 23, from their world-famous lobster brunch served every morning to the luxurious VIP endless dining experience each evening. Indulge in chef-curated specialties, fresh seafood, prime cuts, and decadent desserts, all with stunning panoramic views. That's all at the brand new Hamul Casino Resort, the Players Place. All right, final stop here on Jon and Jim for the day. Once again, just a reminder, Lakers basketball tonight, 7 p.m. tip-off. 6:45 is when our pregame coverage starts. Interesting, because as of right now, we just went to the half between the Thunder and the Rockets, and it's 5:48. So I'm kind of wondering here, is this game going to be over by the time 7 p.m. tip-off?
It'll be close enough. And they had to run over sometimes with TNT if games went long.
Yeah, but this isn't TNT. This is cable. This is NBC.
Yeah, but they still have Peacock though.
True.
My guess is if it runs long, they'll go, oh, you can catch the Lakers Warriors in its entirety on Peacock, and then once it's over, they'll switch over.
They have
back to NBC.
Yeah, they have a plan in place, but we're at the half. In
at
game
least the
one,
mics are working now.
At least the mics are working. 57-50 Rockets over the Thunder at the half. So we have a good game there. All right, Brent, let's get to my back page. So at Starbucks, one of the biggest things at Starbucks during the holiday season is, of course, the holiday cups. Holiday cups. I know you don't go to Starbucks, so when there's like different cups for the seasons, right? And when we get to the holiday season, you get holiday cups at Starbucks. Well, on November 13th, it's Starbucks Red Cup Day. Starbucks has officially announced that the Red Cup Day 2025 will take place on Thursday, November 13th, marking the return of one of its most anticipated holiday traditions. Each year, customers who purchase a handcrafted holiday beverage receive a free limited edition reusable red cup while supplies last. The beverages that you can purchase to get a red cup are the peppermint mocha. Not a big peppermint fan. The caramel brulee latte. Yeah, 100%. Chestnut praline latte. Yup. Or iced sugar cookie almond milk latte. Yup. Yup. The giveaway signals the official start of the holiday season for many fans who look forward to Starbucks' festive drinks and designs every year. This year's Red Cup design brings a fresh twist to the classic look, featuring bold patterns and a bright red and green color scheme that captures the joy of the holidays. Starbucks encourage customers to arrive early or order through the app, as supplies are known to sell out fast. So there you go. If you want a Red Cup, go to Starbucks November 13th.
I don't know. I don't get what the big appeal is. I guess it's like what was those stupid thermoses that people were freaking out over. Yeah. The containers that people were going to Target to buy, and they were like going nuts over those stupid Stanleys.
Oh, the Stanleys?
Yeah.
Everyone has a Stanley. Well, I was going to say every woman has a Stanley. I think Aaron has a Stanley somewhere. Entering the season, listen to this. So, entering the season, the Blue Jays had the longest odds, or let me rephrase this. The longest World Series odds entering the season. The Blue Jays were 66-1 this year. 66-1. They are the 6th longest odds to make and reach a World Series in the history of the sport. The 2008 Rays entered the season with 150-1 odds to win the World Series. The D-backs in 2023, 125-1. The Tigers in 06, 100-1. The Rockies in 07, 75-1. The Marlins in 03, 75-1. And the Blue Jays this year, 66-1. That's crazy. So they have the 6th, I guess, longest odds in the history of the sport to make the World Series, and they made the World Series this year. That's a crazy stat. Michael Jordan's rookie autograph card.
Oh, yeah, I saw that today.
Michael Jordan's rookie autographed at a secret signing sold for a record $2.7 million. What? An autographed 1986 Fleer Michael Jordan rookie card recently sold for $2.7 million in a private deal brokered by Golden. A graded PSA 9 with a 10 auto. The card sale is the highest ever for an aftermarket signature and the most ever paid for a Jordan rookie of any kind. The previous record for a 1986 Fleer Jordan was $2.5 million for a PSA 9 auto 10. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I'm okay. I mean, I like cards, but 2.7 million for a Jordan rookie, I'm okay.
Maybe they'll do a payment plan.
Like, hey, I can do like $75 a month
until I die, and then my kids will inherit my debt. So they die, and then their kids will get it, and their kids.
So let's see here. It'd only take me 3,600 days to pay that off. And that would be 98 years. It's fine.
It's not that bad.
I could pay it off in 98 years, right?
Yeah.
We're good. Finally, a meteorite authenticated, having come from Mars, sold in an auction for $83,000.
Yeah, but if Jordan would have autographed it, it'd be worth $3 million.
It was discovered in 2019. Do I want a meteorite from Mars for $83,000? Let me answer that for you. That's a no. Because it looks like a rock. It literally is a rock. Little orange in it.
I wouldn't want it because I've seen enough movies to know that like some alien thing will come crawling out of that in your sleep.
Yeah, it turns into an alien, kills you, takes over the human race. We're all dead. Congratulations. You're dead and you've just lost $83,000. All right, that'll do it for today's show. Thanks to Alan Sliwa. Thanks to Brent. Thanks to all of you out there for watching on YouTube, interacting on the show on the text line. Appreciate all you guys out there. Lakers basketball tonight, 7 p.m. 6:45 is when our pregame coverage starts. So stick it right here. Keep it right here. Excuse me, on San Diego Sports 760 and live on the iHeartRadio app.